Hello, hello. I am excited to be back here again on another Monday night. Thank you to everybody who came over from Instagram to YouTube. I'm always begging and pleading, please come over here. So thank you to everybody who has done that. Sorry, I'm a little off-centered talking to Instagram over here. We got 5 people already waiting in the waiting room, and so we're going to be letting them on. So hopefully they are watching on YouTube so they know what's going on. Actually, as a matter of fact, let me send them a little message so that they know what's going on. And let's see, you guys can see it over here, so let me adjust this. See, this is what happens, you guys, when I don't have my crew. All right, so we're just going to make a quick adjustment. In the meantime, you guys drop your city and state while I am making sure that I have all the graphics fixed. We're just going to move this. All right, so much better. All right, so let me let them know so they're not confused. I will let you in 5 minutes. Oh, not trying to do all caps. All right. I can't even see. Okay, cool. Y'all know how it is, okay? I keep it all the way a buck. I gotta do what I can. It's just me. But this is a perfect segue to say, if you enjoy my content and you don't want me to be grappling with graphics, you want me to be able to just focus on you, please consider becoming a patron, because if that's the case, then I can have my team help me and I can bring bigger and better every single time, okay? So, we have, Southern California in the house. We only have one person drop their city and state. And it looks like 5 of you who are watching have hit that like button already, which is really, really awesome. I appreciate that so much. But comment your city and state, please. And of course, let's see, smash that like button. Y'all, I had all my graphics ready. Let me actually just close this little chat because this is just going to bug me. Y'all, I'm OCD, okay? So just bear with me 1 second. Let me get my screen back together. Y'all, I tried to bring the graphics for you this time. So smash that like button. Let YouTube know that this is the type of content that other people need to see. And by doing so, you let the robots, because it's not a person in YouTube watching this, it's an AI, and they need to know that you like this. So I have to ask it every time, please come in, click the like button, and then YouTube goes, oh, let's send it while it's live to other people. Okay, we got, Bronx in the house. That's what's up. We got Illinois in the house. I lived in Illinois for a little while. And we got Texas. Those of you watching on Instagram, ugly green screen, YouTube, you have the beautiful view. So please come over there. Plus, read the comment. YouTube helps me a lot. Okay? All right, guys. So we got Dallas. What did I say? Dallas in Illinois. And, Saskatchewan. I know how to say it. Saskatchewan. I can say it in my head. I can't say it out loud, apparently, Howard. Canada. Saskatchewan. That's a mouthful to say. Okay, and we got Florida in the house. Okay, guys. So those are the shout outs that I'm going to do for the people who came in right away and gave their city. Okay, I'll get more. Toronto and Detroit, Michigan. Okay, cool. All right, now those are all. The rest of you guys, there are 7 of you who have not hit that like button yet. I'm not judging. I'm just informing you. Please click that. And if you have the chat box open on your phone, you actually have to close that little chat window, smash that like, and then come back to the conversation, okay? All right, I have 4 quick announcements. I'm going to really go through them quickly because that hour comes quick and we're going to hit the end of our show. So the very first one, make sure you're on my email list. And I had somebody on Instagram just tell me that he didn't get the link 2 times in a row. So I believe what happened is it went to spam, because that is not the first time something like that has happened. So make sure you go to your spam, check your spam, and see if you got any emails from me. It's contactyancy@gmail.com is the email that it comes from. So look that up. Thank you to the people who have hit that like button. 6 more people came in. So all 6 of you, please hit that like button so YouTube knows to push this out to more people. Get this word out there. We got to get some people who are healed, okay? You guys said the dating pool was peeing it. I'm trying to help clearing up. So you clicking that like button helps to put a little chlorine in the water and clear it up. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I see the likes going up. Smash that like, smash that like, smash that like. We got a shout out from Seattle, Washington. Okay, so that is why I'm saying check your spam so that you can make sure, because in your email right now, if you're on my list, there is a link to Zoom, which will allow you to be right here. You'll be part of the 6 people. You can't see it. I can see it on my screen. 6 people are waiting in the waiting room. They are ready to come in and have this conversation. Okay. So make sure you do that. The other thing is that finally, I have been talking about it forever. I finally have a date. It is a real thing. I was not lying. My course date is, drumroll please, my birthday, April 28th. That's the last Thursday of the month. I am launching my course. Okay, it's the Divine Union, but I have a freebie that I'm giving you before then, and it's a free webinar. I have packed it full of stuff that I think you guys will love. I really true do hold back. Okay, I do hold back because I got to save something for my, my special stuff. So I am holding back a lot, but that webinar, I'm giving it to you. Okay, so thank you. All but 3 people have hit that like button. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so make sure you get my Zoom link by being on my email list. If you are on my email list, but you don't see it, it's probably because it went to spam, so check your spam. And then if you're not on, like I said, get on my email list. There's a link below that will, you can just click it to get on my email list. It's in the description of this video here on YouTube. Or if you're still watching on Instagram because you're not reading my little note, please go to YouTube. You can find it in my bio, okay? So everywhere there shows you how to get on my email list. And like I said, my course launches April 28th. So put a huge circle around your calendar, April 28th, okay? Because my birthday, I'm giving you guys a really, really cool gift. And last, I told you I had 4 announcements. The last announcement is that Thursday night, we have Bible study. And I don't want you to think this is your grandma's Bible study. We are teaching about the spirit realm, okay? So if you want to understand, I talk about the matrix all the time. If you don't want to be sucked into the matrix and you actually want to have a life that is incredible, you got to learn about the spirit realm, okay? That's what the matrix and all that stuff, you got to know this stuff. So this is not a snooze fest. This is very interesting stuff. I get my terms confused, Instagram and YouTube. This is called a super chat on YouTube. Thank you for the super chat, Jeanette. I am so excited. She said, keep it up. Hey, definitely going to keep it up. Y'all, I am lit because I know what the show is going to be today. So I'm super, 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 super excited. Okay. So those are the announcements, and I am going to let everybody in the waiting room. So I am super, super excited, you guys. Okay. All right. So let's let everybody in. Just ignore that, you guys. Okay. You're going to see all that. For now, we'll just move it to the side. All right. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Everybody's coming on in. Nice, 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 nice. Okay. All right, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So excited to have everybody. Ooh, I see some very special guests are here. You guys, if they were not here last week, they have no idea what they are in for today, and it's good stuff. Don't mind me, you guys. I'm just getting my graphics together, so just let me adjust this. I told them that once I get my team, I don't have to be doing all this funky stuff while I am talking, and eventually I will have the budget to be able to do the expensive tools that let me do this without doing it manually. So y'all pour into my ministry if you want me to not be janky. Okay, so if you are, I didn't even move the screen. If you don't want me to be janky, pour into my ministry. You can become a patron on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Yancy. I can't even believe I forgot to click the button. And you guys can, as little as $5 a month, help out, okay? Because I would love to be able to use StreamYard and all that fancy stuff that doesn't make me do it manually, but I am on a budget, so I've been doing stuff on a budget, all right? So don't be mad at me. Okay. Oh, Faces, I love Bible study. I like that. And we got another Detroit in the house. Very nice. Monday night Bible study. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Oh, bummer. So I hope I'm not interrupting your Monday night. Okay, guys. So I can officially say hello, hello, hello. Welcome to all of you who are here. Very excited. You guys can do one big wave. I am trying to adjust my my screen, so you guys, pardon me, I'll be just distracted for like 10 more seconds while I get everybody up. You guys can go to your name if you know how to edit your name, especially if it's on a computer, it's easy. And if you want to plug yourself, you can do like Henry and Victoria did, okay? So unfortunately, you guys, your name is cut off. Your caption, so you might want to just put your IG first because your IG luckily says Henry and Victoria. So you might want to move that around because I want to make sure people can see. And let me just adjust these graphics to you guys because I'm talking between so many screens. There, I think we finally have it. Okay, that's what it is. Whew. All right, so if you guys want to shout out what city and state you are watching from, I'm assuming everyone's US. If not, that's fine. But we're going to start, and you can just say pass if you don't. You respect your privacy. We'll do Reginald, then we'll do Mike. Welcome back, Mike. We have, oh, cool, Lamont is back. Let me let him in. And then we have Brian, will be after Mike. Then we have, it says Bryant's with an S, that'll be you. Okay. And then we have Henry and Victoria. And then we have Jason after that. And then we'll have Lamont. He's coming in and getting settled. So let us know where you are watching from. That's you first, Reginald. Sorry, you got to hit your mute button. I always mute people at first.
I'm sorry, forgive me. First of all, I want to thank you for having me on. I'm honored. I am watching from Lansing, Illinois, which is actually about 15 minutes south of Chicago.
Okay. Is that anywhere near Bloomington Normal?
I could not tell you.
Okay. That's like the only place I really know besides Chicago. I used to live there. It's a little tiny little city. Well, welcome. Very nice to have you, sir. Mike, welcome. And by the way, if any of you have the technology or the ability to make your screen big, it just looks prettier. Do not stress if you don't know how to, but if it's as simple as you flipping your camera, awesome. Okay, it fills up the screen. All right, Mike, where are you tuning in from?
Thank you, Yancy, for having me back today. I am from Silver Spring, Maryland, which is about 20 minutes outside of Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay, very cool. I went to Washington, D.C., I think it was last year. So that I finally got to kind of that area. So very cool. All right. We have Brian next. Hello, Brian. Where are you watching from?
So my name is So Brian's my last name.
Oh, you want me to switch it for you? I can.
Yes, sure.
Okay. What's your first name, sir?
Yeah, Travis. Tradis.
Trads?
Tradis.
Tradis. Travis?
B girl, killing me here. Lord have mercy.
B as in boy.
B as in violin. It's the accent. Don't worry about
it.
Travis.
That is the most simple name, and I'm trying to make it so complicated. See, I'm looking at it says Brian's iPhone, so I'm still not even catching that his mouth isn't moving, and I'm okay. So I'm trying to change Brian's iPhone to Travis. So let me cancel that. Let me move over to yours. Y'all see, this is why I need a whole team. Okay. Travis, this is not some super unique, complicated name like I'm thinking it was. Okay. All right. And Brian's iPhone, you're Brian, right?
Mm-hmm. Travis Bryant. Correct.
Okay. And Mr. Brian's iPhone, you're Brian. I'm going to switch you to Brian, okay? All right. So we'll start with Travis then. Okay, Travis, where are you watching from?
So, greetings from Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
From the Midwest out here. So, yeah.
My family, a lot of them migrated to St. Louis, so tons and tons.
From St. Louis originally, so that's what's up.
Oh, okay, very cool, very cool.
So we can, you good?
Hey, double check, man. We good people.
That's real.
All right, perfect. So we're gonna pop over to Brian. Brian, where are you watching from? And then we're going to get to you, Ida. And like I said, guys, you can put, just like Ida did, just like Henry and Victoria did, you can put your IG. And you did hear me, right, Henry and Victoria, that your IG is cut off? So if that's your important thing, you might want to put that in the front. If it's not, it's no big deal. Okay. Go ahead, Brian. And I can do it too if you guys want. Brian, where are you watching from? Sorry to jump into your time.
No, you're fine. First of all, thanks for having me back. I'm in Miami.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Oh, Brian T. Yep. Okay. All right. So, right? Am I correct, T? I'm not going to say your whole government. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Because these things are so small, so it's hard to see you guys' faces. All right. Ida is next. Hi, my love.
Hi there, Yancy. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm from Oak Park, Illinois.
You're from where, Illinois?
Oak Park, Illinois is a western suburb.
Illinois is representing. Okay. IL in the house. All right, very good. We are going to go to Henry and Victoria. Hi, how are you, love?
Good. Thank you for having us. We're from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Oh, very cool. Okay. I went to Charlotte August of last year. It was my first time, and I loved the hospitality. Very, very good things to say about. Yeah. All right. And you, sir? Hello. Well, I'm assuming you're in the same place, unless you guys you're projected. You're a hologram next to her.
Exactly the same place. And again, yeah, thank you for having us for the discussion. We look forward to it, and we're happy about it. So, yeah.
Very nice. You're a very brave man, because my people were very opinionated about your video. So I love...
So I heard.
I love that your knees are not shaking. They're not knocking together. At least we can't see them on camera. All right. We got Jason back. Hey, Jason.
Hey, thank you for having me back. I'm Jason, and I'm from Sacramento, California.
Very nice. Callie in the house. I'm a little biased. All right, and last but not least, we have Lamont, and I'm actually going to put his name here for him. He may not be in a position to come on camera, but if you can speak, feel free to unmute yourself, sir.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Hey, would you like to tell us, everybody, where you're hailing from?
Philadelphia.
Hey, Philadelphia. All right. Okay, guys, so I'm getting my screens adjusted because some stuff was overlapping. First of all, thank you so much for everyone who took the time to hit that like button. I do not just say it for the fun of it. Really, it is something with YouTube. If they see people are interacting, commenting, liking, they will push it out. So I really, really, really appreciate that. A lot of people talk mess about social media, but it really is organic. However people use it, that's what benefits. That's in their best interest to give people what they want. So if you show them you like it, then they will reward the content creator, and it will also push it to other people who actually want it. So you guys are doing your part, and I appreciate that. 28 of you did that so far. Let's see. I just hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you, Michelle. Okay. All right, guys. I'm so excited, partly because I am stepping up my graphics this week, and I'm going to be playing a video, but I also have a little bit of nervousness because, you know, when you're dealing with technology, anything can happen. So take a deep breath here. All right, so we are going to prayerfully start this next one. And see, I'm so glad I looked first because something was wonky, but I know what it is, so just hold on a second. Wonky is a very technical term, by the way, for those of you who are not technically savvy.
Knew it.
Yeah. All right, perfect. So I was able to fix it. Okay, guys, here we go. So we're going to watch the first video clip. Now, in this clip, I am asking whether people would, I asked the ladies, okay, because we know what the men would do. But the ladies, in uncomfortable situations, do you fight or fawn? And I'll explain what fawn is because I did not know what it was until about 2 weeks ago, okay? Because we were learning, you know, you hear about fight or flight. There are actually like 5 or 6 as I've been looking into psychology. So fawning is actually something that I know way too much about, and I'll tell you after the clip so that I don't bias you guys. But fawning means you just try to go with the flow to not make the situation escalate. So in both situations, you are equally pissed off. One person fights, the other person fawns. Okay? All right, so here we go. Have a look. And can you guys hear the sound okay? No sound?
No sound.
Oh, dang, that would have been too easy. Okay, and good thing this one you don't need the sound for. However, the next one you do. Okay, so worst case scenario, I will just play it through my phone on the other one. But see, this is all this technical stuff. All right, so you guys might see one of those like old action movies where the lips are going and then the sound comes after because I'm going to be playing on my phone. That means Instagram, those of you who are still watching on Instagram, the 10 of you, please go to YouTube because that's where all the graphics are. You can actually see the graphics, but I have to turn off my phone. So my live stream so you guys can see. But please go to my YouTube. You guys tell them it's nice. Can you tell them? Listen. Okay, look, let me show you.
It's lovely.
See? See, guys? They said it's lovely. So please come over. The water's warm. They don't bite. Go over there, please. Okay, so let me cue up this video. Okay. All right, so here we go. We're going to try it again, just because I was talking over it, but this way you guys can hear. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, so could you guys hear it that time? I mean, like, barely through my phone, right? Okay. So, because the next one you're gonna have to hear the audio, which is actually Henry, but I wanted to make sure you could hear. So, could you guys see the video? Well, obviously, and then I remember too. You guys are you're not watching it on YouTube. Those of you who are on the panel, you guys are, unless you have a second device, you're not able to see it. So, hopefully, you guys have seen the videos on my channel. Okay. So in that video, it shows a woman, just in case any of you on the panel have not, it shows a woman who is being picked up, twirled around, and then her man grabs her hand and walks away, and you can tell he's upset. So as the two women on the panel, I would like you to know, what is your knee-jerk reaction when you're in an extremely uncomfortable situation? And this is a skit, so just because some people were confused, and they wanted to analyze the acting, critique the different things. The point of the video was to see if women fight or fawn. So all assessments of the video aside, I really just want to know that from the ladies. So I'm going to put you on the spot first, Victoria, and then Ida, if you're willing to share. Do you tend to instinctively fight, or do you instinctively fawn? Not saying it's right, just what's your instinct?
Yeah, I would say my instinct is to fight, especially in like a public setting. If I can fight and bring attention, like, hey, people, look over here, that'd probably be the way to go for me.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Ida, you?
Okay, so I couldn't really see it. I was trying to pull it back up to look at it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, and I'm going to do my best to see if I can show it to you here, okay? So I'll start the beginning just again so you can see the very beginning. So she's being grabbed. And actually, I'll mute it for this one. She's being picked up, hoisted up, spun around while her guy is standing next to her. Now that she's on the ground, he grabs her hand, pulls her away. And as they walk away, you see the camera follow. And he's fussing, okay? So, and like I said, it's going to be very tempting for people to analyze what she did, which, by the way, she's an actress. This is not real. But the matter is that we're discussing, would you fawn or fight? So did you see enough of it? I know it's hard to see it through the little camera, but did you see enough to be able to make an assessment?
I did. Am I fawning or fighting him or my mate?
Oh, the guy who picked you up against your will.
Oh, yeah, I would probably fight him. I don't know him.
But the way, did you see the way her shoulder squared up just when she said it? She was like...
I would probably swing, like, hold on. You know, I would swing.
Yes. Okay. And this was interesting. And the reason why I wanted to address this was because different people had different takes. Now, the majority of the women, like by a landslide, I would say 95 to maybe 98%, were saying fight. Like, no, hands are going to be thrown. I'm going to do something to get this dude off of me. And I will say that before I had the courage from the Holy Spirit, I was a fawner. And that is my instinct. And a lot of stuff happens. I will not get into, part of telling my story is telling people's stories, so I don't like to tell too much of my story for that reason alone. But instinctively, you learn certain things based on experiences that you have had. We'll just leave it vaguely, okay? So some people learn that you can survive longer if you get along. So the reason why I wanted to bring this up, and I love having these discussions, is because I believe that the more we know about the world, the more we can handle people with care. And one of the worst things is being misunderstood. And one of the things that's really, really sad about this whole incident is that the woman who is in the video actually did not want to be in the video. And I reached out to her so I could get more information, but I only had what she commented on the post. I don't know if she even saw the post. But her page is actually set to where people can't comment. And I have a strong suspicion it's because this thing is literally going viral right now. That's how I saw it. And I kind of felt bad because I typically don't repost things unless it's just purely celebrating people, because I don't like to contribute to people getting attacked. I just did not think that they would get attacked. She would get attacked because I was saying it was a hypothetical situation, but they still did. People went in on all three. Addressing the guy who picked her up, his looks, really ripping into him. Of course, the guy who had the worst was the boyfriend, the guy who played the boyfriend. But she really got really ripped into, saying she belonged to the streets and all this stuff. But let's just say that it was real, okay? This is why I want to have this conversation. Somebody like me gets very uncomfortable in situations like that. And I believe the reason is because also I'm an empath. When you are an empath, you pick up on other people's energy, or you quickly identify how you would feel in that situation. That's what causes you to empathize. I know how I would feel in the situation, and I don't want to put them in a situation that's uncomfortable. The problem is that's a very beautiful gift, but if that person doesn't deserve that empathy, now you're catering to somebody who doesn't deserve to be catered to. That is why I say with the Holy Spirit, I have been learning how to fight that feeling of doing that, because I'm that person. Well, they're there. They don't know what they're doing, or I don't want to cause a scene or whatever. So in that moment, I might have been that person with a nervous tick, like, it's kind of like this. And so I was telling people, if you look at her eyes got really big. When you're turned on, just think about being turned on. Just in your head, your face does like this. When you're turned on, you're not turned on like, that's creepy, right? If your man's like, oh, what I'm going to do to you tonight, you're not like, oh, okay. Like, that's weird. But if you're really uncomfortable, like, whoa, and you're caught off guard, you see the whites in your eyes. And so ironically, as everyone is looking at her saying, oh, you could tell she liked it. Look at the way she looked back. Finding out the real story, she was uncomfortable. The actress was uncomfortable. So even though she wasn't really in that situation, meaning that wasn't her man, she actually was uncomfortable. And from what I understand, I did actually estimate correctly her reaction. So typically we care about everyone around us, making sure they're okay. So that look back that everyone was like, oh, she wanted him. To me, that look back was, oh God, that was really awkward. I wonder what you're doing, in response to this big scene that was just created. And then she got fussed at, in the skit by her man. So does anyone want to comment on that? I just really wanted to get it out there, especially for the fact that I unknowingly contributed to the viralness of that video and that woman who is being, ripped apart, who's just an actress. Before we move on to the next one, does anyone want to share anything about that?
I do.
Go ahead, sir.
All right. So for me, the thing that I noticed is when she got put down and he was pulling her away and she looked back at him, that look right there.
That's the one I was just talking about. The look.
That was to a man, that is a call me type of look, but for the whole situation, real or fake, I mean, it was hard for me to look at that the 4 times that you just showed it. It was very hard, especially in a time now where, not to mention their names, but Will and Jada, and with men feeling like the embarrassment that she has put Will through. And then you look at a situation like that and the embarrassment that man must be going through, regardless if she wanted it or not, because I believe that most men probably feel like it would never even get to a point of even a grab. It'd be some karate chops or something going on to where she would never even end up in the arms to be swung around.
Yes.
So just things like that.
Yeah. And I definitely agree that the expectation for women is that we're not even getting put in that position. Because here's the thing. if that had happened, this is where order is so important. Had the man stepped in, which again, these are actors, so we're not shaming the actual dude in the video, but had the proverbial man stepped in, the woman would not have even been in the position to have to decide between fight or fawn. She wouldn't have been put in that uncomfortable position. So that's why it's really important to have that man who's the head, because we are, I'm going to say the word weaker, and not in a condescending way, but according to the Bible, we're the weaker vessel. Weaker simply just means more delicate, okay? We are delicate. So handle with care. So somebody like me, I rather love on people. I love to love on people. So I don't want to be put in a position where I have to fight somebody. So if my man can keep me from being in a position where I even have to fight, cool. I could stay in my Care Bear mode and just love and make cookies and just hug on people. So that's the lesson I want to explain. And like I said, that look back, I looked at it like, oh God, what's happening? And she still has that nervous tick. And in my live stream, yes, Travis, I'll have you jump in. In my live stream that I did yesterday, I explained how my sister, she used to drive the new recruits for the Marine Corps. There was a new recruit who came in, and I'm watching. It was so horrible to watch. And he's like this, and they're like, "Is there something funny, soldier?" And he's like, "No." And then he's like, you know, it's kind of like that gum commercial where the guy's on trial. I don't know if you guys have seen that guy, and he's like this, and then they're like, "Is there something wrong?" And they're going off on him, cussing him out. And finally he's like, "I'm sorry, I have a nervous smiling tick." And I was like, I get that. Like, sometimes it's really awkward. So my point is, don't always judge the book by the cover, because people were quick to say, like I said, she belongs to the street. They had a whole decision about who she was. And the reality is, one, she's an actress, and two, she loves God. Like, she's far from being someone who belongs to the streets. Travis, what were you going to say?
I think the fawn response is really misunderstood in men. So what really jumped out to me in the video. I saw that video earlier. I did not know they were acting, because people were really on some belligerent nonsense these days. But as the man in the situation, someone picks up your girl, the fawn response is he's weak, right? Where
yes.
Often the fawn response, particularly in men, comes from trauma. Is it a life and death scenario? And are we secure enough that if I jump in, she don't jump on me? Right? So like you're saying that that's my girl, I'm her man, but what does that really mean in the scenario? Because I jump in and find out he's a side dude. We're not what I thought we were.
Look.
And men do not handle rejection well. So all those things, when we look at the fawn response in men, often that's seen as weakness, but it's also due because of trauma.
Yes.
Is this life or death situation? And by the time you register it, it's already done. So when he's pulling her away and talking to her, who is he? Do you know him? That's the first question, right? Why he didn't jump in with that kind of bravery? Probably because the relationship wasn't secure to begin with. So I think that when you talk about the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, the fawn response in men is often misunderstood.
I really appreciate that. You guys, I have chills because I love these conversations. First of all, you know, that there's such an eclectic group of us. We don't know each other from Adam, most of us, except for Jerome, that's the homie. Hey, shout out to you, Mr. Hurt. Okay, always good to have you here. But these conversations, which I forgot to read the rules, not that I have to with you guys, but this is a perfect segue to read the rules, okay? The reason why these conversations work is because everyone is respectful. My only two rules are disagree, it's fine. Because I have people accuse me all the time. Oh, you don't like anyone to disagree with you. I've literally made a living off of being controversial. So try again, honey. I don't mind disagreeing. I don't deal with disrespect. You can politely tell me I'm wrong. You can list 7 ways you think I'm wrong. Don't come for me. Don't talk about my looks. Don't talk about my family. Don't put me down. So I love that you guys are out here for the world to see. It is really okay to have disagreements or have opposing views and be civil. So air clap, you guys. Give yourself a round of applause. You guys are literally leading by example. This is foreign in 2022. You guys are like having unicorn moments right now. As much as it seems normal to you, I'm sure this is not normal for the rest of the world. So that's huge. My second thing is, please no profanity. We have a lot of people who are offended by profanity, and YouTube also does not do well with with profanity. And I'm trying to get my coins. Okay, they give like 3 cents a video, so I'm trying to get all 3 cents. So keeping it 100. Quickly, I'm gonna get to these comments. See if there are any that stick out to me. Let's see. It's disgusting when men refer to women with misogynistic names. Okay. Oh, she's talking about something else. Okay, here's a question. She says, I have a question. Why do I'm gonna say men, because I don't like putting people in holes, pigeonholing people. Why do men feel they have autonomy over women's bodies? They feel like they have a need to touch her or get her attention. Let's quickly talk about this, you guys. I'm a little flexible on time, so we might go over a little bit. You know, people have to pop off, they can. But does anyone want to address that? I, as a woman, I have been groped. I have had someone literally like get a handful of my backside twice. One was in boldness with my entire husband standing in front of me, all 6'3" of him, muscular. But it was one of those jam-packed. It was New Year's Eve. It was like where you're like cattle squeezing through. You can take baby steps. It was so tight, and he was pulling me behind him. And so someone came in, took advantage of the fact. So when I turned around, there was like 4 guys laughing. So we don't know which guy it was. But I have been groped. I have been, you know, my body has not been mine in certain situations. And I want to know if anyone wants to talk about this, either from your experience or from what you've seen. Why do people feel like that is okay? I mean, I think it's just because there's evil in the world, but does anyone want to speak to that, or do they think?
Comment.
Please go ahead, Lamont.
I think it's as simple as what you said is evil in the world. It's not that people feel like they're entitled to other people's things. It's that sometimes they're willing to actually take risks. Like, you know, somebody might rob me when I go outside. The same way people will take risks for certain things. So, and it's a certain type of person. It's not all men, or it's not even most men. It's a very small, minuscule amount of men who feel like they'll take a risk, and they know it's wrong. You know, they know what they're doing is wrong. They just take the risk. They look at you. They'll either look at you, they'll look at your guy, and it's to be like, okay, it's 4 of us, or it's 5 of us. But if it was one of him, and, you know, he may not have taken that risk. You know, it's all about, you know, risk and stuff.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And I also want to say this, and I'll let you guys jump in. I want to say this too. You said something very briefly, but I don't know if they caught it. People will assess. A lot of times as women, and I am not fussing at you, the person who made that comment and asked that question, okay? We as women a lot of times react emotionally. Why is this happening? Why, you know, why? And as we both said, there's evil in the world, okay? The energy, as your sister, the energy should be on, in my opinion, how do I prevent as much as possible? So for me, since I acknowledge this, we live in a world where it is dark and evil and this happens. Whether it's a small percent or a large percent, it happens. I try to lower my odds at all possible. Notice I said I was at a New Year's Eve event. Guess how many New Year's Eve events I go to now? Not because of just that one thing, but I've just learned over time, when there is alcohol, tons of people, loudness, smashing together, craziness tends to go down. I go to, went to New Orleans every single year. I never went to Mardi Gras, and that was intentional. So there are things that we can do as women to make sure that we lower the risk. And I want to really emphasize, this is not condoning men who violate you. It is simply saying, if you understand a stove is hot, you can stay away from certain, stovetops. Henry and Victoria, one of you raised your hand on the icon, so whichever one of you wanted to speak.
It was me. So I wanted to briefly mention that I think society is conditioned a lot by music and hip-hop videos and TVs and movies that glorify, unsolicited groping and just that like objectifying kind of thing. And a lot of people watch that, consume that daily. So I feel like that has a part in it too.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, my name is Jerome from Queens, New York.
Why you say it from your chest though, Jerome? He said, my name is Jerome.
I'm an OG. Groping has been around before hip hop. Okay. So I respect what you're saying, Queen, but I cannot co-sign on that, right? Because it's been around forever. And you're speaking to somebody that has been around even before hip hop. So let me just say that, number one. Number two, I remember Dave Chappelle did a stand-up, and he talked about him being here in New York and getting paid for doing a stand-up, and they gave him a bag full of money. And back in this time where he was going back to his hotel or whatever it was, he had to take the New York City subway. And back in them days, and I could tell you point blank, I used to rob people on the train, right? He was worried about his bag full of money that anybody just watching him, they knew what was in the bag and they were coming for him. And what he said was, this is something women have to deal with, that thing that they have every single day. We as men, and it is, and I love what Lamont said, it is a small percentage of men, but we as men never made it comfortable for women to navigate this world, right? And there are some of us, and I've been in this spot where we do go out and we do protect women, some of the time at our own detriment, but there's not enough of us that do it. I just think evil is in the world. I don't equate it respectfully to music, to hip hop. I don't equate it to that. And I say that because it's been around forever. I just equate it to evilness in this world. I equate it to just some cats just thinking they could do whatever it is that they want to do. I knew dudes that no matter what, they thought that they can just do whatever they want to do because they just feel like doing it. So I hate to simplify it in that way, but that's honestly the way that I see it.
And I want to say this really quick, and then I'll let Brian jump in. The ladies are saying, well, at least two ladies are saying in the comment that they feel like it's dismissive. I'm assuming they mean, our responses. So I want to say this, and someone else said that it's not minuscule. I will say that everyone is going to speak from their experience. So for the guy, let's say, for example, a guy, if he says it's not happening a lot, it's probably because he hasn't seen it happening a lot. And when he hangs out with his friends, he's not seeing his friends do it. He's not seeing people in his circle do it. So that's his reality. I want it to be very clear that I personally am not dismissing anyone's experience. So if you as a woman have had the majority of your experiences be violations, that is your experience. So I am not looking to give a percentage per se. I just want to say that not all men are like that. But as a woman, I have had I have had more negative experiences than I have had positive. So I just don't want any women to think that I'm over here saying, it's such a rare. It's not. I'm simply saying I choose to spend the energy and time on my platform speaking to what a woman can do. Because we can wag our fingers and say it's bad. We all know it's bad. Like, we could spend hours talking about how bad robbing is, but people who rob are not going to stop because some chick on YouTube is talking about it. We have to look out for ourselves, and there are things that we can do as women to protect ourselves as much as humanly possible, and then the rest, God and his angels are covering us. So I just really want it to be clear where I'm coming from and that I'm not dismissing. You guys moved around. Brian.
Yancy, when you done, I want to add something.
Okay, perfect. I'll have you go after Brian because he had his hand up. Okay, go ahead, Brian, and then Lamont.
So, excuse me, just so we're clear. First of all, respect everybody's comments that were previous to mine. What I understood the young lady saying is I thought we were still talking about in context of being in a relationship or marriage, not at a block party, not at a party. I thought we were talking about unsolicited with your mate, just for clarity.
Oh, possibly.
Because that's what I picked up. Yeah.
Okay.
I say beat everybody's, if they touching women inappropriately and it's in passing. That's just disgusting.
Yeah. Okay, so ladies, comment. So while Lamont's talking, we'll wait for the comments to come in. Ladies who were commenting about not feeling like you have autonomy over your own body, were you speaking about from a partner, where a partner could just do whatever he wants? And by the way, hi Christine. She said, I'm in here. Hey. So hello. And Michelle, let's see. My Bell 504 on IG. She said, oh, that's her handle. I really thought this one was typing out her IG name every single comment. That's just part of her handle. My bad. I was a little slow right there. Victoria laughing at me. Okay. Okay, so go ahead, Lamont, and then we're gonna get into the next video, guys, because I'll spend the whole hour on this little thing.
Oh, I just wanted to add real quick. So based on what I've been gathering from social media, I think that a lot of women would like more protection from men, and I think that's I understand that. So I just wanted to say that when Yancy or anybody is giving you advice, remember that the best way to protect somebody 80% of the time, 85% of the time, is by teaching them to protect themselves the best way they can. So it doesn't start with being reactive to something that's happening to you. It starts with being proactive and kind of telling you how you can best try to avoid something. That's the best way to protect somebody. Like for an example, if I saw a woman out at 1 a.m. and I say, hey, it's very late, it's dangerous around here, you should go in the house. And she said, no, I'm grown, I'm an adult, it's fine. But then, I walk away and somebody attacks her, right? She's going to want me to help her, but it would have been beneficial maybe if she would have, I tried to protect her early on, and be proactive versus reactive. So just wanted to say that, when Yancy said that, she was just trying to help.
I appreciate that. And the comments that I'm getting is that it was groping from strangers specifically. Okay, guys, so I'm going to play the next video. Those of you on Instagram, please go over to YouTube because I'm about to shut this thing off. Okay, we're having a good time over there. All right, so here's the next video. Again, I have to do it, the bootleg way. I'm going to play it through my phone. So I apologize that the sound is not going to be great. Oh, I know. Miss Assistant. Whenever my daughter can play the speaker for me. Okay, so the second video here, this is one of our guests who is on right now. So get ready, sir. Get ready. We got the audience nice and warmed up. All right, so here's the next video. And I'm going to play it for you guys. So there are two videos, and this is the very first one. Again, like I said, the sound is not going to be matching perfectly with the video because I have to figure out how to work out the sound. I'm actually going to put it on a speaker, so give me 1 second, okay? All right. All right, so let's see if this helps a little bit. I'm going to try to time it.
Listen, I will not let my wife go have a job and work for somebody else. Why? Why would I send my wife out to another man to help build his dream? This is the language of kings. This is the language of kings. Have you started to listen? Have you started to listen?
Okay, so could everybody hear that one? Okay, and then some of y'all, I can't with y'all. Okay, wow. So here
so I made a video that
this is the next one.
Said I would not let.
Hold on, I'm trying to do the bootleg version. All right, so here we go.
So I made a video that said I would not let my wife go work for somebody else and help build her dreams. You had a problem with it. You said the word let is an ugly word. She should build her dreams by going to work for somebody else. Now when she goes to work for somebody else, they won't let her do a lot of things. They won't let her build her own schedule. They won't let her wear what she wants to wear to work because she has to wear a dress code. If your child got sick, she can't even leave work without getting permission to go and take care of her own child. They won't let her. By the way, who's raising her children while she's at work? And you're at work. School. I understand. Same school where all the teachers are now speaking with the students. This is the language of kings. You better learn to speak it.
All right, so hang on 1 second, guys, because my screen got all wonky again. Okay. Y'all, we're going to just speak that budget into existence so that I can have that good StreamYard. All right, so I'm going to let the speaker go first. It's only fair. So, Henry, please share if there's anything you would like to share before we open up the floor to everybody else. Is there anything you would like to get off your chest that you can't do on social media?
Well, I think the video speaks volume in and of itself. There's a reason for it, right? So, and we all have a design. I think that to understand the video, you have to understand the design. If you want to understand the design, then you have to understand the manufacturer of that design in the first place. So a lot of times I found out that a lot of people don't understand it, don't get the video because they don't speak that language. They don't read from the manufacturer's code. So it seems different from them. You know what I mean? So we live in a different world now too that says it's okay for a woman to work for somebody else, but she cannot work for herself. She cannot work for her family, those type things. So it opened up a big box. And so that's what happened. And I'll let everybody else get into it after that.
Okay, perfect. And by the way, guys, I was a little distracted because I was looking at the technical stuff. Quick question to those in the audience, because I was asking those on Zoom as though they could see. On YouTube, are you guys able to hear the sound without me doing the bootleg version? And I'll show it to you really quick. I'm just gonna play it really quick, a couple seconds.
So I made a video that said I would not let my wife go work.
So let me know in the
for somebody
comments.
else
Can
to
you
help
hear
build
the
their
sound
dreams.
on
You
the
had a
video?
problem with it. You said the word "let" is an ugly word. She should build her dreams by going to work for somebody else.
All right, so I just played a couple seconds. So there's a delay with the comments, so I'll see in a second what they say. But let me know if you could hear the sound, because that'll be really funny if I was really doing all that bootleg stuff when you guys really could just hear the sound. They said yes! That's hilarious. Well, at least the good news is that I know it works now, and I don't have to do the bootleg version. Okay, Victoria, see, you're the type of kid I could not be in class with, because I would look at her and start laughing. That's like my girl Cheryl. We begin our lives and we're just busting up laughing. Okay, so you guys pardon me for the the sound being terrible. So that means that it was playing double. So hopefully you guys were able to hear it. Okay, somebody raised their hand. Oh, Jason. All right, Jason. So jump on it. And by the way, you guys, with the exception of, if I'm setting up the next piece or what have you, feel free to just kind of like double dutch, just jump in if you have something to say. So unless people start really talking over each other, we'll go back to raising hands, but you guys are very civilized. All right, so go ahead, Jason.
Okay, so this reminds me about last week's conversation when you asked me a question in regards to if I had a maid and she wanted to take a lot of time off of work and things like that. And for me, I said that my number one focus with a maid would be her peace, so that it would bring me peace to be able to do all the things that I needed to do. So I totally agree with Henry. This is the language of kings, because that is exactly what the key goal is the happiness and peace of your mate, in order for you to walk totally in your masculine strength, to be able to do all the things that you need to do to provide a great life for her and for yourself and your family.
I appreciate the feedback. Is there any opposition? Did anybody hear that video and cringe? All right, go ahead. Uh-oh.
Oh, shoot, I'll go first.
Yeah, I think he was muted somehow. Okay, but go ahead, Travis, while Jerome's getting his audio together.
First, I'm all for particularly black couples. I see you got the husband. I did not know that was you. I saw the video and actually commented. But I see you're with the wife, you know what I mean? And so I'm always supportive of that. When I first saw the video, I thought the energy was weird. I thought the energy was weird for a few reasons. This fascination we have with being kings, I've always thought was backwards. Most kings are evil. Men don't do well being worshipped. So I always thought that was weird.
Okay.
The other thing is, I think when you're talking about what makes a marriage work, right, and what allows her to fulfill the role she has in the family, that differs from woman to woman. I'm married. Keeping my wife at home, because real talk, we all work for the government. We want to be real. So unless you're out there chopping trees and you on your Paul Bunyan, you paying taxes, everybody working for the government. So understanding that is more about, okay, how do we be opportunistic in terms of what we're trying to build? And so there's been times, even in my own marriage, where I have been the person who stayed at home. I've been the person who only worked. my wife's in the medical profession. That's where she finds fulfillment. That's what gives her energy to come home and be that wife and mother. Keeping her at home, we realized very early, keeping her at home was not a good look for her. It just was, she was extremely stressed out, right? Because the interpersonal part of dealing with children is very stressful for her. I'm a therapist. This is what I do. I'm a counselor by trade and by nature. That's easy for me. So it's about what makes it work. And I think as men sometimes, and as women, we get so caught up in gender roles or what that's supposed to look like. It was easy in the 1920s when women couldn't work and they didn't have opportunities and they couldn't own anything. That was easy to feel like the man. Now manhood has to look like something else. And that something else, I believe, is being that shield. I think it's being that guide and using what you have to fulfill what God has put in you. You know, going back to what you said about design, I completely agree. And if you don't know the design, and we're designed to serve, we're designed to love. God is love, we're made in God's image. And when we really understand what that means and how to execute that, then we're able to really be free-flowing in our marriage. So it's about accomplishing the goal. It's not making sure that I feel a certain way or you feel validated a certain way, and that's all there is to it. It's about completing the mission. So when I work with couples, the first thing I ask the man, what's the mission? And whatever it takes to accomplish that, you go with God, and you pray God give you the mate that's going to help you fulfill that.
Okay, there was one other comment, and then I would like
Can
Henry
you hear me?
you're the one other comment. So I'm going to let Jerome make a comment, and then I'm going to have Henry respond if he wants to, and I also have a response. So Jerome will go, then Henry, then I'll add my piece, and then if anyone else wants to, actually feel free to put the little hand up, just so I know you're coming up, and then we'll go in that order. Okay, so go ahead, Jerome.
So I respect the video, and I respect that that's your desire for your marriage. And, you know, I look at myself and my wife, who are two corporate executives. However, we also run our own businesses outside of that. And in my wife's particular case, it was her role as an executive that spilled over into allowing her to build her own business. And we're building our empire separately, but yet together. As a man who was married in his first marriage 20 years and in his second marriage 9 years, I do not believe in telling my wife that she or that she can and cannot do anything that she doesn't want to do. And we have sat down and we've discussed together what it is that she wants to do as well as what it is that I want to do. She is at a point where we are less than 10 years away from retiring and just seeing the world and being the world. So while I respect any man in his marriage and this is what he wants for him and his queen, mad respect for that, I know that in my home and in my marriage, that's not the way that I desire for it to work. And I have to ride with what Travis had to say. Yeah, and to be real, yes, there is a king and queen in the Hurt household. But everything that we sit down and we discuss about career, our kids are grown. Our youngest child is going to be 30 years old. So everything that we do is about building for us. And what we're building is absolutely powerful and dope. And we use our corporate roles and positions to continue to do that. And when and if we do retire, we will be able to still sustain what it is that we've built outside of our corporate jobs. Thank you so much, Mr. Hurt. Henry, did you have a response before I shared my thoughts?
Yeah, tons.
I was gonna be shocked if you said no.
We'll keep it short for time purposes and stuff like that. First, is it right to tell my wife what to do? I better. Everybody else is telling her what to do, right? She goes out, she works for whatever, Amazon, Walmart, whoever. They will tell her what to do all the time, right? So why is it that the person that stood before her family, my family, God, and everybody who came to eat our cake at our wedding, I said that I will take care of her through everything, right? Why can't I tell her what to do, but some guy that's in HR at Blip at our blimpies or whatever would tell her what to do, and that's okay, right? And then you have to look at what we see as success in a marriage, right? So if we're making $100,000 in a marriage, does that mean success? It doesn't. Or if we start 8 businesses, that automatically means success for our marriage. That doesn't mean the same either. We have a marriage that is built on principles, right? So if God gave us the idea and the definition of marriage, if God gave us the roles of marriage, the design of marriage, and all this stuff, then why are we going against that to make our own idea of what marriage and successful marriage and all that type of stuff is, right? So when we look at our kids, right? So if you have a 9-year-old, 12-year-old going to school right now, and you were to pull that 9-year-old, 12-year-old to the side and say, hey, can you tell me what a woman is? He'd be lost because he couldn't tell you because of the indoctrination going on through the schools, right? There's no better person on the planet to raise and teach our children than my wife, right? Here's how the designer made it so that I can know that, right? So he put nourishment in her, that teaching ability in her, that softness in her, that help in her. The baby's food comes directly from her body, automatically, because it's by design, right? If I'm going to be her protector, as her husband, as her leader, then the designer must have put that in place too. That's why I'm stronger and bigger and more forceful too. So all of it is by design. All of it is by purpose, right? So once we lose purpose, then we lose the plan. Once we lose the plan, then we lose the pattern. Then we lose everything. Real quick before you. God gives the husband, he gives Adam instruction to lead, right? Eve is not even created yet, but he gives man purpose beforehand. He gives that to Adam. Adam, if he's a good man, if he's a good leader, then gives that information to his wife. That goes back to telling, right? Telling his wife what to do. Gives that information to her, right? When Eve goes and is deceived and all that stuff, Eve partakes of this fruit, right? And you know what happens when Eve eats of this fruit? Absolutely nothing. Nothing happens because she wasn't the head, she wasn't the leader, she wasn't that by design. It's not until Adam eats of that same fruit that everything goes chaos. And then the designer comes, and whose name is he calling? He didn't say, Eve, what have you done? Eve. He says, Adam, because I put you in charge to lead and to run this. And the success of that isn't determined by the Mercedes in the driveway. The success of that is not determined by, what people on the outside say is successful or is good. The success for that is what we do with our family and how we raise our children. That's the successful marriage. And I think a lot of people miss that in that, because once you step outside the roles, you get what we have today. Men have no idea what a man is, and women have no idea what women are, and we're not at war with each other. And so now she belongs to the streets, or you're a scrub, I don't want no scrub, or all of this chaos that we have. And it's all brokenness because we have went away from the purpose and the design of what makes us healthy and happy in marriage.
I appreciate your very thoughtful response. And again, I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face. I am so proud that we can have such an intense conversation, and I have not even come close to seeing disrespect. So, golf clap for you guys again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
This is so huge, and I hope we start a wave.
Never that.
It's just this needs to be the wave. Okay, I have a question for you. I'm going to play devil's advocate, although I don't like that term. You bring up a...
I have to split because I have a client coming in right now. But this has been great. Thank you guys. I heard the video, man. I was like, I appreciate when people say stuff with their chest. Let's get to it, right? So, Anyway, thank you for the platform. It's been a pleasure to all of you guys. Hope this won't be the last time. And y'all be safe.
Thank you so much. If we're still back on, feel free to jump back on.
I'll try.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thanks. So, I want to say that, sorry, I'm looking at it. Someone might be coming on. Okay, so I want to say that first, you made an incredible argument. And one of the things that I really pride myself on is being open-minded. I have my beliefs. I'm not just wishy-washy and just changing with the wind. But my beliefs aren't going there. I can come to a conversation with a completely open mind then close my mind and put back the things that I choose to put in based on the conversation. So what I like that you had to say is everyone else tells you what to do. Police officers tell you what to do. Even physicians tell you what to do. Get up on this gurney, you know. Firefighters tell you what to do. City workers tell you what to do. We had our electricity turned off a couple months ago, and they were like, it is what it is. I'm turning this off, and keep your fridge closed if you don't want everything to get perished, you know, if you don't want things to perish. And the list goes on and on and on. Your boss, blah, blah, blah. So the actual action that's happening, meaning you don't get veto power, that situation is a situation that we have all just dealt with. We might complain about it. We might even leave a certain job because we don't like how it's being handled, but we have dealt with it. So from that standpoint, I feel like that's a very strong argument. Now, what I will say is, what do you say to the people who take issue with the actual terminology? So if somebody says, for example, what is the difference between a leader, one who leads by example, and a dictator, somebody who wants someone to just mindlessly respond? Where is, because there's a pendulum that can swing. I think we all will agree with that. And my concern as attempting to be a responsible host is that I always say the guy in the basement, some dude in his mom's basement, like, that means I can just boss someone around. I'm going to crawl up out of this little hole. You know, I'm sorry, but I just picture him with like acne and like he's playing, you know, Minecraft and war games and all this stuff. And he's like, when I get a wife, that's my worst fear. So I don't want the power to be used for evil. So that's why I'm playing devil's advocate, even though I don't like that word. So again, how do we keep the pendulum from swinging from a leader who leads by example to a dictator that I've just described?
Yancy, I'd like to jump in really quick.
Starting and Mike, if I could jump in after you, sir. Good man. Go ahead.
All right, so we've got Mike.
The moderator.
We've got Mike and then Brian. And then I would like Henry, because that question was actually directed at Henry. And so I'm gonna stick to that order though. I really like what Mike has to say, at least the last time when I saw. So I'm gonna do Mike go, then Brian, and then we'll have Henry go next. And I see Lamont wants to jump in, and Reginald too. So just for my memory, and you guys help me, it goes Mike, Brian, Henry, Lamont, then Reginald. Okay? And go.
Starting with the first question about women in the workplace, certainly there is a lack of a safety net. And as a result, we have a lot of gender bias in the workplace. We have hair bias, which is why we have the Crown Act in many states being passed, and now at the federal level, we have a beauty bias, and that's tied to body shaming, and you have the pay equity bias as well. And the stress of all of that has created that has become part of the Great Resignation, which a lot of women, especially women of color, are now resigning because they don't want to go through all of those standards. So speaking to the issue about being told what the standards are, certainly there is an unequal standard there. And even it's interesting that we're discussing this because our moderator this evening is, a female who's taking the lead here, right? However, when we move into relationships, we have to think about what this term king means in action. And it leads to your second question, what you're referring to now, in terms of behavior, leadership styles and behaviors. And certainly, you can go from governance, a king as a governor, which is a proper and healthy steward, all the way to dictatorship in the home. And certainly nobody wants to be underneath a dictatorship. And in the middle, you have a spectrum. You have everything from laissez-faire leadership, where you have the leader that doesn't want to do anything, all the way through well, there's about a dozen different types of styles out there. So the question becomes, what type of leader do you want to be and do you want to exhibit in terms of behaviors? And the term leader gets a lot of bad rap when we think of behaviors that lend itself to a dictatorship. And how you avoid that is through wisdom. You have to gain wisdom with all your heart. Look for opportunities to gain wisdom, either through your partner, through discussions, through a multitude of counselors that are wiser than you, or people in your peer group that are going to hold you accountable as well. That is what helps you sustain good leadership, because anybody can have a bad day and anybody can be a poor leader at any given moment. However, with accountability partners, with people who are elders to you that can mentor you, all this lends itself to good leadership. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I think that Brian, and you guys, if I look away, it's because I'm taking notes. I don't want to forget. There's so many things I haven't even addressed from what Brian said. I should remember his name now. What's the guy who I couldn't remember his name? Travis, thank you. I was trying to make him Vladimir. Okay, so Brian, you're next. Thank you again, Mike.
Absolutely, and I'll try to make this as brief as possible. So, once again, to all the previous comments before me, respect and thanks for sharing. There's power in the tongue. You can speak life and you can speak death. So when you use the term, why can't I tell her what to do? Because y'all are a union. It's not you, then her. You're a union. A woman is the neck that supports the head of the household. So we as men are those heads. But without a neck, what's the head going to do? And when Christ calls us to love, he calls us to love our wives like he did the church. So this unevenness, so I would tap on what Travis said, and I believe the brother after him, use each other's strengths, right? Where a woman may be stronger, you may be weaker, depending on the context of the situation in your relationship. However, that does not mean that you are not the spiritual or the overseer or the main leader when you're being spiritually fed something. So without going into too much more detail, I'll leave it there. And once again, thank you for everybody's contributions and comments.
Thank you so much. Henry, so you're next. And then I think the order was Lamont and then Reginald, if I'm not mistaken. And then Brian, if you wouldn't mind taking your hand down so that I don't forget that we've answered yours. And then that way, if you put it back up, I know it's a fresh comment. Thank you so much. All right, Henry.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, one, just like the other guy said, there's some wise men on the panel, so I appreciate that. First, to tackle the word king, because it's always a hiccup, right? With the word king, and it's dictator, monster, and all that type of stuff. But there were certainly good kings. Christ is King of Kings, so he's certainly good. There's a book in the Bible literally called Kings, right? And then you look at David and so forth and so on. So it's not that it's a bad phrase or bad term. It's what you do with it, obviously, right? And then you have to look at if I'm king, right? If I'm king, then that automatically makes my wife a queen, automatically, right? And so you have to look at it in that respect too. And the brother before, I think he said that we have to reign in love, and that's true. That is so true that we have to reign in love, because how did Christ love the church? That's how you ought to love your wife, as Christ loved the church. The issue is that we live in an age of redefinition, right? So we no longer know what love is because everything's so broken, right? And because of that, we think love is only a good feeling or a good emotion, or we think love is only when God opens doors. Wrong. God sometimes closes doors, and that's still love. Sometimes he blows the door off the hinges, and that's still love, right?
Praise God for something closed on me.
Christ loved the church, right? So what did he do for that church? We ought to look at all of that. We can't just look at pieces of it. Yeah, he died for it, and we look at that and says, that's great. But he also went into a church, he turns tables over. Boom, that's love too. So is it not love when God, sends a flood? All of it is love. All of it is a part of it. So I would love to just have times when everything is just butterflies and peaches and cream, but sometimes as king, as leader, as head, I have to make decisions that are not easy decisions for us. You know what I mean? And that's what I have to do.
But God the Father, just like your father or my father, there was discipline. There's discipline in love. I have 3 children. So sure. I just to clarify, I wasn't saying at all that there's not good with bad, especially how we receive it, as his children, because there's rearing. The word says that, if need be, you need to do what you need to do as far as in raising your child. I don't mean you getting children's services ain't being called. However, child rearing, you need a whooping. You need to be set on course. So, brother, I'm picking that up with you laying down. But God himself and his greatest commandment was love. And the way he sent a woman and the reason why behind that purpose wasn't simply for us to tell them what to do or have dominion over them.
Can I try
because
this?
They're also made in his image as well. And I'm gonna sign off on that. Not sign off, but I'm gonna mute myself on it.
Because I was gonna say before you stepped in, I think I know where you're going because I wanted to set this up. I'm going to go on a limb, and you guys can give me the thumbs up so I can see those of you with your camera on. It seems as though everyone is in agreement that the husband has the final say, right? I should say this way. Is there anyone who thinks that they don't have the final say? So if I hear all silence, then I'm going to say you guys are agreeing. Okay. So Ida says the husband does not have the final say. Okay. So with the exception of Ida, is there anyone else who doesn't feel the husband has the final say? Okay. So, and we will let you share about that if you would like to, Ida. But let's just say, with the exception of her, that everyone agrees that the man has the final say. My opinion, I think people are taking issue with the terminology, and the delivery. Is anyone disagreeing with that statement? Okay, so far no one's disagreeing. So the thought is this. My question is, you obviously made a video. It's meant to incite, a reaction, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. In your home, is that the way you would speak directly to her? Or are you speaking in principle? Like, I let my woman do this, or I don't do it. I take authority. The reason why I was saying that I want to make sure this is really clear so that guy in the basement is like, are you walking around stomping saying, I will not let you do this, I will not let you do that? Let's clarify, because we actually might be on the same page, and it might be the word itself that is causing the issue, because we're all agreeing that at the end of the day, the man has with the exception of Ida, that the man is the one whose head is on the chopping block, therefore he has, to take accountability. But I think it's the word let. So what do you have to say regarding that? And then I haven't forgotten you, Lamont. I just wanted to clarify this before we moved on to you and Reginald.
Well, it's twofold, right? Mm-hmm. So that answer is twofold. Firstly, even in the video, the word let is describing the action. It's not the verbiage that you just go and use, right? I won't let her do a action, right? It's not verbiage of a communication between me and her. But watch this. Watch this. The same loving God right now. Remember, the same loving God, same Jesus that said to love the church. He says, don't do this. Thou shalt not. Refrain from that, right? And that's in love still. Mm-hmm. If that was the case. So we have to we'll have to deal with that either way. Either way that it was meant, you have to deal with it in that sense. But to make it very, very clear and very simple, of course, I don't just go around and say, hey, I won't let you do that type thing. It's like, hey, but at the same time, even as king, my wife says, hey, you can't wear those gray sweatpants out the door. You're not going to wear those sweat. And that's simple stuff, right? That's not something to fight over. That's something we agreed on.
Yeah.
And it's just as simple as that, and that's being done in love. You know what I mean?
And I appreciate you saying that. And I want to say this, and I meant to clarify this earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt. There are completely two different camps. Like it's black and white. There is the camp who says the word of God is the final say. Period, as they say. End of sentence. Then there is another camp, which, because I don't discriminate, there's another camp who does not believe that the word of God is the final say. So I need to insert this into the show so that it's clear. Those of us who say that the word of God is the final say, there's no opinion. The Bible says the man is the head. And the man is the one who has to give account. Just that's why he brought up that example about Eve. So when a man has a final say, you can equate it to, this is not patronizing the wife, but you can equate it for understanding to a mom and a child. The child might say, I don't want the immunization. I don't want the measles shot. And the mom says, I hear you, but you're getting the measles shot. The mom trumps her because the mom has the final say. The mom empathizes, they see the tears, they don't want her to be in pain, but she has the final say because if the child dies of the measles, and then the people say, why didn't you just get a vaccine? Like, that's the easiest thing to avoid. She has to now give an account for how she handled her child. So there is going to be a discrepancy between the people who believe the word of God is the final say and those who don't. So just for the sake of this conversation, I just wanted to be really, really clear that that's why. And as the comment is coming in, because there's a delay, the comment is coming in that the wife isn't a child, but that is because that person is not looking at it, in my estimation, the way the word of God does. The way the word of God says it is that there is a pecking order. There is a pecking order. There is a husband who is accountable to God. He has to stand before God. There is a wife who has to answer to her husband, who answers to God. And then you have the kids who answer to the parents. So it is a pecking order. And for those people who say it's just mean to have a pecking order, again, I say you have children. If your children tell you, Henry, go to bed, you've been up all day, that's not happening. First of all, the whole word Henry isn't even coming out of your mouth. You might be missing a tooth by the time you get to the NY, okay, or RY. I joke, I don't condone violence, okay? But I'm just saying, we don't treat them the same. And this is why it was very important at this moment for me to clarify the difference, because the Bible is very, very, very different from 2022 standards. 2022 standard, you cannot say that the man is over the woman. Man, that will get you canceled, whatever, whoop-de-whoop. But those of us don't care about being canceled. Because we have to answer to someone higher than the people who can cancel us, okay? Be concerned with those who can cancel your life and your soul. If I could just make that up, because that's not scripture, it's a play off of a verse, okay? So I just wanted to make that really, 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 really clear. The part that I want to add, and then I will go to Lamont, because I know he's been patiently waiting, is that there is, let's see, the thing that I want to say is that there is always a loving way to do that. Like Jesus said, I came that you might have life and that more abundantly. He didn't say, don't do this. He's like, hey, I'm here so that you could have abundant life. And if you follow these things, whoop-de-whoop. That's why I wanted to give you a chance to state for the people that you are not running around with a pitchfork, or a Triton, scepter, because I believe that is how it's coming across to some people. And I am an advocate for my brother in Christ. And so that's why I want to make that very clear. All right, Lamont, thank you for your patience. And then Reginald is next. And then I see Brian has his hand up now. So Brian's after Reginald. Oh, and then we got Mike going too. All right, Lamont, you've been so patient.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in these conversations, people just really jump to either extreme. I don't know. Maybe it's that people have never actually seen anybody lead and not be self-absorbed and actually be worried about getting the family in a better place and them just being the best person for that job. But like, I can't protect my woman if she's not doing what I lead her to do. I can't. The protection does not start with reacting to things. It starts before that. So and also it's not, women are choosing men who they deem good leaders, right? It's not that they're just, like, you can have a bad leader, but I think it's up to a woman to truly vet that man and choose a good leader, a man who's going to make, decisions for her, right? Because he thinks that these are the best decisions for her and the family, and she should trust him to do that. But being a leader is serving the people around you. It's not about yourself. It's not me telling you to go make me a sandwich, woman, or pass me that remote and you got to do everything like that. It's way deeper than that. It's having foresight when somebody else doesn't, and you making good, sound decisions that they will appreciate you for once the fruit of that decision, manifests. Like, I don't know. I truly believe that not all men, of course, are not leaders. That's just the reality. All men are not leaders. But me personally, I know I'm a leader, and I know where I can get my family to. I don't even know how I think most of my relationships, right, have not been happy relationships because I didn't understand until I was 28 that I wanted structure in my relationship, right? There was a lot of arguing, a lot of dysfunction, right? I didn't know that I wanted a feminine woman, right? Like, why do you have that? Why? I didn't know that until I was 28. So I don't know. I think structure works very well. Or I think it's either that, or as a man, you just have to kind of lose a little bit of masculinity, and not in a negative way of like, oh, you got to be weaker, but a little. You can't have so much. You can't have so much of that power inside of you if you have to either do that in order to have a successful relationship with somebody if you don't have a structure or like a hierarchy. It has to be like a 50-50 in that way. I don't know. It can be successful for some people, not me. So I don't know. I've been wanting to talk for so long. Like, I'm going to address certain points, but so, like, my mind is a little bit scrambled. But,
I know. I had to make notes. I wanted to punch what you said, though. You said leading isn't about reacting to things. And I thought that was really, really good because, like, take my kid. If I let my kid have too much freedom, I can find out after there's a problem. Somebody tried to have a debate with me. That sounded condescending. Somebody was debating with me on social media. And they were talking about, I think it was actually one of the comments, Victoria, where we were talking about the reason why you would want to homeschool versus being in public and, or just having anyone else watch your kid. And I said, think about a time something happened. And they're like, well, that's what communication is for. I said, communication is only going to tell you what happened after it happened. So even if I have great communication, mommy, this happened to me at school. How does that help me? I just know it happened as opposed to not knowing. But I'd rather be preemptive in my strike and not let it happen. Not to say I'm speaking down against school, but I'm saying that was their response. That would have been reactionary parenting as opposed to being hands-on and knowing what's going on at all times. Okay, Reginald, thank you for your patience.
Real quick, Yancey, can I just throw something in? It's 20 seconds. Like, really the main part of parenting, like 90% of it is protecting your children. That's like literally 90% of it. And that's the only reason that you make decisions that your children don't agree with. Is strictly out of protection, right? It's not because they're your kids. You don't tell kids what to do because they're kids. You tell them because you got to protect them. Which, when people say like, oh, girl's not a kid. She's not a kid. She's somebody that you vowed to protect. So it's the only reason that you have rules and stuff like that. You don't tell kids what to do because they're kids. You're trying to protect them. So, yeah.
I love that. Protecting as opposed to telling them what to do. And I think, Henry, I have found, especially with us women, we can lead with emotions. A lot of times men are very literal. And so you defining boundaries and saying this is what will and won't happen, it's being very literal. We hear, I'm gonna tell you what you can. We add to, and that's why I think these discussions are good, because a simple Instagram reel is not going to unpack all of this. And as we can see, your wife is not trembling. She doesn't seem scared to speak. She's showing her personality, you know, so this is not this dictator, you know, situation unless you told her what to wear.
He's not a monster.
You could blink twice, hon, if you need. Did you pick that shirt yourself or did he tell you to wear that? Reginald, you are next, my love. Thank you for being so patient.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to chime in. And I want to thank everybody else for commenting. There are a lot of great nuggets being dropped. I want to say that I think there are two things that can be considered. And before I say this, Mr. Doss, I want to say that my comment is in no way diminishing anything that you said, because I actually found a lot of the things that you presented to be valid. But I want to go on to say that these are not commandments, people. He made a post based on his convictions. If, you know, Mr. Doss, correct me if I'm wrong, and there's scripture that says that he who has an ear, let him hear. If it's for you, go on. If there's something that you can extricate from it and practice it, you know, in your own situation, by all means, feel free to do so. If it's something that you completely disagree with and you find that it's not for you, swipe left, figuratively speaking, right? The second thing is, you know, as far as his household is concerned, if this is something that he and Mrs. Doss have gotten together and discussed amongst themselves and prayed about, and this is something that brings a level of synergy and oneness to their household that propels them forward in the vision that God has given them for their family, then, you know, that's what works for them. You know what I mean? So, like, it's not a thing of him being dogmatic, I don't think. But, you know, as I said before, this is a conviction that he had. And so I believe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but then he felt the need to share it. And again, it's one of those things where, like the Lord Yehoshua said, he who has an ear, let him hear. If it's for you, grab hold onto it, extricate what you can from it. If it's not from you, for you, swipe left and keep it moving.
Thank you so much. And I have to say this. It's the Mr. Doss for me. I got chills. And I'm telling you, this might sound corny to some people, but the Harlem Renaissance, okay, and I'm going to speak specifically to, you know, my brothers and sisters on here. And you guys can be ceremoniously brothers and sisters too, if you're not a brother and sister. But that time period where we had dignity, we carried ourselves with class, we dressed in a way that just said we really take pride in our appearance. I was going to shout out earlier, Mike, your wonderful suit. Brian had decked out. I was like, shoot, I need to step up with my channel. But it's, y'all, this is my thing. I have this vision that there is going to be this wave where we are going to go above the status quo. And when you said Mr. like literally, I goosebumps every time. It's another, yeah, see, look at the suit. Look at the suit, y'all. Okay. Hey, man, the little pocket square. Yes, I see you. When we're put together, right? When we're put together, I know when I'm wearing my outfits, and this is going to happen because it's on my vision board, but I have a whole line of apparel for women that is so classy yet sexy, but just classy because there's such a hole in the industry right now. It's like either streetwalker or grandma, and like I need somewhere between string bikini and muumuu. Like can we get something in the middle? So when I can get my little coins together, I will be coming out with that. But I'm just saying that just gave me just a glimpse of what we could do. And I would love to have that wave where, shoot, y'all can call people by their last names if you want, but that's hot to me. In the words of what's her name? Paris Hilton. That's hot. So, got me a little off the subject, but I just had to punch that. And I believe that, see, y'all, the Zoom keeps moving around, and so my brain, I remember where you are. I believe that I promised Mike next and then Brian. Is that correct, the order? I think that was the order. Okay. I wanted to say something really quickly before I lost it too, because we kind of got a little bit away. I think part of the issue, and this is no shade to anyone who has said otherwise, but I think part of the issue, especially in having these conversations, is when our foundation isn't the same. So in the last week, I really wanted to mention this last week, when the women were bristling and saying, well, what if I want to do this? And what if I want to do that? And my passion is this. From my understanding of the scripture, and Bible scholars, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I enter into a partnership with a man and I choose to open my womb and have children, I become a servant. I am a servant to my husband and I am a servant to my children. If I wanted to experience life and all that it has to offer selfishly, I don't mean it in a bad way. I don't think there's anything wrong with being selfish. But if I want to be single-minded, maybe that's a more neutral sounding word, single-minded in my ambitions, because right now I am separated from my husband. Nobody tells me what time to go to bed. Nobody tells me I don't want to eat that for dinner. Why did you choose that? This is no shade. It's just a fact. Okay. Now, we're praying for my marriage. Okay. Don't get that wrong. But in my separation, I am enjoying the freedom to have the house the way I want it and move the way I want. I make that point to say I struggle when within a marital relationship or as a parent, when the argument is I want to find my bliss, if it takes away from the maximum possibilities of the family unit. That is one thing that I really wanted to say last week, and I believe it's fitting to say it now, because nobody will argue that it's not awesome to find your bliss. But if the guy is so into his job and he never checks on his family and he leaves his wife always taking care of the kids and he's just off pursuing his dreams, or the wife just is off pursuing her dreams and she abandons her family, at what cost does it have to the family unit? And that's why I kept saying last week, when we were identifying and looking at the feminist movement, I kept saying, how did it affect the family unit? And people kept responding and saying how it affected women, how it helped women, how it bettered women, how it freed women. And I kept saying the family unit. So thank you for letting me punch that, you guys. I couldn't go that much longer without addressing that. So Mike and then Brian.
Thank you. I've heard this expression a lot about the head and the neck, and I never really understood it because sometimes I do sleep wrong and I wake up and I have a little pain in my neck, so I wouldn't want especially with that little. However, I have another analogy that comes from the Bible, which says that a wife is a crown to her husband. And I stick to that analogy better because of the source. And when I hear the word crowned used as an adjective in that format, I hear it's saying that a wife enhances her husband because a crown has jewels and it gives him and it represents his authority. So having a queen by your side with full of wisdom enhances you, right? And that's the way
I like Mike.
So, and I think that it is whatever that need is for the king, that crown provides for him. Okay, snap, snap, snap. Mm-hmm. Yes. So, now,
okay, Mike.
I think right now we have a great representation of that in the White House, where you have a male and a female, and you have the female. You have Vice President Harris, who is of one of the former elders of the land in terms of a law interpreter. She was a state attorney general, and that's pretty much at the top of the food chain before Supreme Court justice. Okay, and then she became she was a law interpreter. Then she became a lawmaker, right? And now she is, a governor of laws in her vice presidential. So she has a lot of wisdom, and so she serves as a key advisor to the president, to the head of the country right now. And I think that is we are living in a time where we can see that happening. She's not a queen like we have in monarch times. However, it is a system that is very similar as we can see it visually now happening. Now, why people balk, I believe, many times is because of a fear that comes out in surrendering your authority to somebody else. And in a healthy relationship, there should be no fear. There should only be love, as what was talked about before. However, when there are unhealthy relationships, when there are unhealthy choices that were made, okay, and where one person or both are feeding the flesh more than the spirit, then you have those issues where I don't want to surrender to nobody. I'm not going to surrender to her. And she says, I'm not going to surrender to him, because now you have...
Sorry, we in the church, we throw shoes, purses, whatever. Just don't mind me. Lap claws.
It's all right now. It's all right.
Where's my church fan?
So now you go into a downward spiral where nobody wants to surrender. And Dr. Eggert, she says, somebody asked him one time, well, who should be the first person? He said, one person has to step up and be the mature person. And the secondary question to that was, well, who should it be? The person who wants to be considered the more mature in the relationship should step up, and say, enough is enough. Okay. Now, in thinking about your original question that you had posed to us when you had made the announcement around power struggles, when I break down the two words, you have power, which are resources or tools used to influence. And then you have struggle, which is a difficulty. So we have to ask ourselves, why is there a struggle? Is it character-based or is it competency-based between one of the parties? Okay, and we have to ask ourselves now, how do we move past those situations? Well, I would propose that you have the prep, the plan, and the purpose. And what I mean by that is the prep signifies the conversation that you have ahead of time about what personalities you bring.
Don't mind me. Look, I know.
So the prep is when you are vulnerable and honest and transparent with each other, and you say, these are what my biases are. These are what my barriers are. This is what my bondage is. If you want to be really authentic and vulnerable, right? And you bring that to the table so that then you can use that information to produce your plan, which is that signifies what mutually agreed expectations you both sign off on, and how you will handle conflict when it arises. You got to talk about that ahead of time. Do you choose space? Do you choose to speak, or do you choose to seek counsel? You have to lay that out ahead of time so that conflict is not something that stops you indefinitely, but it is something that is more of a pause until you go back to your plan and you say, this is what we agreed to how we will handle conflict. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you go to your purpose, and that refers to the vision that the couple has written out for themselves ahead of time. Okay. And so this term, power struggle, I would prefer to use the term power press or power pressure. And the reason why I would use that term instead is because some pressures are there for a purpose. Just like they're the pressure that comes from birthing, where something new and good comes out of that pressure, okay? You have the caterpillar that forms into a butterfly. You have diamonds that come out of coal. Sometimes the pressure is essential. And so that's why I prefer those terms as opposed to a struggle, okay? And lastly, I'll just say that the power press is used to influence a power pivot for a productive purpose.
I absolutely love that. Can you give the 3 prep, purpose? I know I feel like I skipped one.
So it was the prep, the plan, and the purpose.
Perfect. And it's funny you said that about pivot, because I was talking about pain. Pain brings you to pivot so that you could now get on your purpose. So I love that. I'm a big fan of Mike's. He came through last week. Today, no different. So I'm gonna have no shoes left by the end of this live stream. Brian, you are next, and then Lamont, I see that your hand is up. By the way, guys, if anybody has to, and Jerome does too. Okay, if you guys can use that little Zoom hand, because it helps me remember that someone's waiting in the queue. But we are an hour and a half in, and I'm having way too much fun. So if anyone does have to leave, just give that little church finger and you can dip out. Or if you want to announce it, like, what's his name? Travis. Why can I not remember that? Travis did. You can do that. Okay, guys? So those who want to stay can stay. If you have to leave, you can come back and watch it later. Okay? But this is actually the perfect, we're still going to go in order of who was saying this. But Mike is in sync without realizing it. I was actually getting ready to pivot to the question, which is why I changed the graphic too, talking about the 2 highlighted topics. The Instagram things were just bonuses because they were so poppin' that I had to get on here and talk about it. But the 2 things that we're talking about is the power struggle in relationships, and then ultimately, should the person who makes more money have more decision-making authority in the relationship. Okay, so I promise you guys it was not clickbait. We are getting to that. All right, so Brian is up next. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it is Lamont next and then Jerome. Or it looks like his hand went down, so I don't know if Lamont's hand's going down.
No, I'm still next.
Can you see my brown hand? Can you see my brown hand?
It was blending into the wall!
I'm going to change.
I'm glad you pointed it out. Mine's brown too when I put mine up there. But I didn't see it. So who do you remember the order?
Ida could go before me because she certainly has been waiting patiently.
Okay, you're so sweet. So we'll do Brian, Ida, thank you, Jerome, and then Lamont. Okay. You have the floor, Brian.
So let's just kick it off. Is there a power struggle in relationships? In 2022, absolutely there is. Excuse me. When you take, it doesn't really matter. Well, I'm going to specifically narrow in on families of color. But when you look at where we once were 50, 60 years ago as a community where we really, truly relied on each other, there were a lot of laws and a lot of things that happened to men of color to pull them out of the home. And then what you had for a generation plus was women raising children on their own. And so there being a shortage of what you would consider to be good men or available men. And so then we have this conundrum. So I think last week we were speaking on gender roles, right? Mm-hmm. There's more women today that have less of a need or less of an insight into why a man is necessary or what was God's true reasoning for the creation and making a man and a woman in the first place, right? And then you have men, and then you have everything else being the American family being attacked. What's a man's role? What's a woman's role? What's a this? What's a that? So is there a power struggle right now? 100%, just to reel it on back. But if a man and a woman is grounded and their focus is not themselves and God is at the center of that, that would no longer be a struggle as far as the power.
Yes.
Second question, should the person who makes more money hold the decision-making authority in a relationship? Absolutely not. If I'm a self-made or I've built myself up to be a multimillionaire, but my wife is an accountant or bookkeeper, she can have that. Because that's only going to pour into our foundation that we're creating. God has given us all, I would say, earthly gifts, spiritual gifts, and so we need to tap into those things. So it doesn't really matter who makes the most money per se. It's about the family, the union, and then who's best at what. And I'll leave it there.
Oh, I was like, I know, I was like listening like this. I have a comment to make on that, but I'm going to reserve it till after. So I don't want you guys to think I have nothing to say. I just don't want to be a microphone hog, okay? So Ida, you can go next.
Okay. I apologize. A lot of what everyone said hit a lot of points for me. Reginald is my recent ex-husband. We just recently got divorced. We would have been married 22 years this year. We still have, very mutual respect for each other. We're very civil, all of that good stuff. So I believe in the Bible, right? I believe that there is a pecking order. I also believe that, as someone said, there should be clear communication in a marriage. Who does what? Who handles what? How is this going to be done, right? That should be done. I think also, Mr. Doss, I think the word that people were, maybe for me, when you said the word let, that hit a trigger. It's not what you said, because what you said, I believe, should be, right? But I think that word let, and the way that you said it with your chest, but as a man, as a Black man, it should probably be said a lot more. I'll say that. Also, okay, so with the, is there a power struggle in relationships? And if you are the breadwinner, should you make the rules? As Brian said, I don't believe so. I believe that if Reggie is a breadwinner, but I know how to take care of our finances, then I should be the one to manage the finances. But there's discussion, right? I'm bringing him into every conversation. If that conversation is refused, that's a different story. But we both have to maintain the household, I believe, together. So we have to have that communication, and not just communication, but clarity and comprehension on what that is, what that looks like, right? Also, you were saying when you're a woman, and you have children, you have to be a servant to your husband, and you have to be a servant to your children. I do believe that we are to maintain our households, but I also believe that there is a way that you can still find your bliss in that. Because for myself, I'm not a stay-at-home type of chick, right? I went back to school at 28. I still managed my household. I went to work every day. I came home, cooked dinner every day, sat at the table with my children, did my homework with them, and still started a business on the back end. When they went to bed, that was mommy's time. I probably was tired as all get out, but I believe that if you have balance and communication, Reggie, can I work on this? Do you mind if I'm working on this? If he says, well, maybe not tonight, there's compromise, but he'll never say, no, you can't do this. I'll bend, like, you know what I mean? Like, if it's a deadline, like, I really wanted to get my website done tonight.
Right.
Do you mind? There's always compromise, I believe.
And just for clarity, just really quick, I'm going to just punch this in. When I was saying serve the kids, what I think I said it, but I just want to make sure if I didn't, it's not meaning you cannot do that stuff. It's that they are the top priority. So if everything is tended to and everything else is dotted, I's dotted, then yes, by all means. But if something comes in direct conflict, my kids are not going to eat, but I'm going to make my website, make an extreme example. That's the only time. So I just want to make sure that I was not advocating for, like, mindlessly just only being in the mom role and never feeding yourself, because I agree 100% on that. Just wanted to clarify.
No. I understood what you're saying.
Okay.
And then you were saying if the foundation is wrong, I believe maybe our foundation could have been built wrong, but I believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, right? I love God, and I will tell anybody that'll listen that He is a bomb digger, right? And but that's how in our household we had God in the center of our marriage. Somewhere along the way, around that end part, something went lacking. But I don't, there's no blame, right? But there is like, I pray that I'm healing well, like he's healing well, because we came in broken. So there has to be, you know, healing. So I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry, I have the thing up on this side. I don't know why I'm looking that way. But I love the conversation, and I love the camaraderie, and I love the different pieces. But I believe that, as Mike was saying, if there's a power struggle in the relationships where finances are involved, is finances the root of that power struggle? What's the root of it? Because maybe it started way before the finances even came into play, because maybe your bank accounts were already connected. Maybe everything was being paid on time in full. What's the root? Like, are you hurting? Did this trigger something for you to maybe say, hey, I'm going to pay this bill, I'm going to get this? If that triggers something, you have to find out also, I guess, the triggers in that situation. So I said a lot, but I hope it makes sense.
Well, you didn't have you didn't speak the whole time, so it's okay. You can make fun for it. I really didn't see the little hand blended in. And I was gonna say, if you were finished with your thought, make sure you take it down so that if you do put it back up, I know that it's a new. And if I don't see it, just do one of these, okay? So I'm here for the plot twist. I was like, oh, okay. We need some music in here. She came with a smooth plot twist. Okay. Jerome was next. Thank you. You read my mind. I was like, everyone's moving.
First of all, something totally, Ida and Reginald, it is dope for the both of you to be here. And I love marriage, and it is my prayer that there's healing for both of you, either being here or wherever the two of you are, because I think it's brave for the both of you to be here, like seriously. So love to both of you on that, and prayers for healing. I also want to say, you know, Mr. Das, respectively, there are things that I will say that I do tell my wife, and some of those things are in protection of her. For example, last week in New York City, it's not safe nowadays with so much homelessness to be on the trains. And my wife was coming from a Broadway play, and she knew she couldn't get a car home. And my thought was, I'm gonna jump in the car and come get you. I'm in Queens. That's in Manhattan. That's a 45-minute drive. What I told her is, do not take that train, right? Because I'm thinking of her safety, and I think it was either Brian or Lamont, one of you said, it's all about making sure I'm proactive so I'm not reactive. So there are certain things, brother, I will say I won't let my wife do, because it's in protection of her, in protection of our household as well. In talking about the is there a power struggle in marriage, I could tell you, I got married the first time when I was 21 years old, so ego was involved, right? I was a street kid, and I'll never forget coming in the crib and saying to my ex-wife, do you know who I am in these streets? And she was like, well, do you know who you are in this house?
No.
So that to me was, again, I'm from the streets. Like, I was like, oh, wow, you know? But what I recognized is that it shouldn't be a struggle. It was, and the struggle was in the who's right and who's wrong, who could get the kids on their side. It was things like that. But then what I recognized in that is, because I look at the three-chord strands of a marriage, right? And there's me and her and God in that three-chord, right? But if I'm pulling on one side and she's pulling on another, right? That cord eventually is going to break, which is what it did, right? So when I decided that I was going to do this again, ego was left at the door, because I say ego stands for edges God out. And I want God in every single thing that I do. That's real. And again, you're talking to a street guy that, you know, when I think about all that God has blessed me with in my life, I would have never been able to conceive it, to be honest with you. The issue with respect to the Bible and the Word is I think the word is perfect. I just think a lot of people's interpretations of it is not. They use it and twist it in ways to favor our own ignorance, right or wrong, whatever it may be. And I think that needs to be fixed.
Can you give a specific example? I'm sorry, before you move on to your next point, can you give an example of something that you think relating to marriage that gets twisted out of context?
With marriage? Oh, yeah, without a doubt. When we talk about the man is the head, like, again, the way that some men go about it is, we talked about it. You're going to do what I tell you to do.
Okay.
And that's ego. That's, yeah, you're the head, and there's a way that you could be the head, right? And, I'm a leader by example, but I'm also a leader by going back and saying, okay, I love to counsel. I coach 45 young men. I'm an AAU basketball coach. So I'm always I'm very vocal, I'm a communicator. I could see things that maybe other people cannot. So I'm very vocal in that way. And my wife is very vocal. So I think in that way, we certainly make it work for the betterment of ourselves. And as an example for our children, godchildren, relatives, for them to see, wow, this is how it works. This is how it should look. And I'm very intentional about that. The last thing, should the breadwinner make all the decisions? No. I am the financial professional, but I believe it or not, I want to teach my wife. I may step off the sidewalk and get hit by a car, right? I want to teach my wife how to do certain things. I want to teach her how to invest. I'm a financial professional. I want her to learn how to do it. I do the finances, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be on me. But by the same token, again, me being a coach, I also would like for her to learn exactly how to be able to do this. God forbid if something should happen. And that's because we have so many other things financially that goes on outside of the household that, God forbid, if something should happen to me, she needs to know how to handle it. So I don't believe that the breadwinner should make all the decisions. I don't know anything about decorating. My wife decorates the Hurt household. If it were up to me, we'd have a bed to sleep on, a big TV, and I'm good. That shouldn't be my thing to do, honestly. So.
I love that. Thank you, Jerome. And by the way, not to make you blush, but he has an awesome marriage. He's married to an amazing, amazing woman. So he's not speaking hypothetically. Yeah, and she actually agrees with this, okay? Yeah, so beautiful marriages. I think that it's easy for us to constantly talk about how terrible people are and how much pee is in the dating pool. But there are a lot of healthy marriages. And I will say even though I'm legally separated right now, I have an amazing relationship with the father of my 2 children. I will not say ex-husband anymore. Like I said, I felt convicted about that. So as of a couple months ago, I don't say ex-husband because in the eyes of God, he's always my husband till death do one of us part. But in the eyes in the state of California, I am still legally married. So my estranged husband, okay? But we have a fantastic relationship. And, I would go so far as to say we are friends. My side, he can put in his own words. So I just want to say that I love putting a spotlight on healthy relationships because I believe that if we don't see them, we will not believe that they are real. We will think that they are fantasies, mystical, unicorn creatures running around somewhere in some, fantasy forest. But these are real people having real relationships. Not perfect, but enjoyable. Okay. Who is next in line? Did we? I don't think we went past Jerome in the order, did we? All right, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3 just because it's in the order of my screen. So Reginald, then Jason, then Brian.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on something Mr. Hurt said. And by the way, before I even start, thank you for those words of affirmation. I appreciate it. Ida and I, we get along great. So just wanted to put that out there. But I wanted to say, or at least comment on what you said concerning scripture and how it's received or how it's perceived as it relates to the topic. I think one of let me first go on and clarify that if you are an individual or if you are a couple who have absolutely no intention on structuring your household, living your life based on biblical principles and things like that, again, swipe left. And it's just information. What do you do with information? You receive it, you put it to use, or you don't. If you are a couple in a household that believes in scripture and you base, the running of your household and your family and your life and things like that on biblical principles, statutes, and things like that. I think the greatest thing for us to understand is that the scriptures are not understood. The scriptures are not interpreted. The scriptures are revealed. The scriptures are revealed by Holy Spirit, which is why the scriptures tell us that the word and the spirit agree. If the scriptures are not revealed to you, which means if that cover is not pulled back and then you're given spiritual insight because they are spiritually discerned, you don't know the scriptures. You may be able to quote the scriptures, but then
organ music,
intimate knowledge and understanding of the scriptures just isn't there if they're not revealed. So that's all
I just wanted to I'm playfully talking about the organ, but I feel like sometimes some things just have to be punched a little, like I punched what Mike said. That is actually extremely profound, and I am a testament to that. I'm a witness to that. I was forced to read my Bible every single year as a kid. When I chose to read it on my own as an adult, I was like, whoa! Whoa! And then you come back the next year and you're like, whoa! It's revelation. It's revelation. It is revealed to you. And I used to never understand when people say, I only get 3 verses in and I can't put it down. Now I'm like that lady, I'm on verse 3, I just can't get past verse 3. And I'm digging into the Hebrew and the Greek and whoa, if that means that. So I love what you had to say. I wish we had the organist back.
That's in the Bible. Proverbs, it says, it's the glory of God to conceal a matter and the glory of man to seek it out. So we are supposed to be seeking out those things that God has put out there, but not easy for us to find.
I love that. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. I'm in Mark right now, and I was wrestling with why did he speak in parables? And he's like, which I'm still breaking that down. But if you have ears to hear, you're gonna hear. Okay, so let's see. See, the screens keep moving. Okay, I think Jason is next and then Brian. Oh, okay, perfect. And then we got Victoria after that. And I'm looking for Ida's hand, making sure it's not blending in the wall anymore. Okay.
So, first off, I would like to really commend Reginald and Ida for being on this show together and giving us the insight and wisdom that you both possess for the betterment of all of us and for everybody who's viewing and will view in the future who's not viewing right now. I commend you both. On the question of, is there a power struggle? Yes. And going connected to something that Mike said in regards to diamonds and the mining and butterflies and caterpillars, yes, it's a necessary thing. And sometimes people don't need to get in their emotions and feelings in regards to it, and to be able to stop and say, oh, this is a challenge that we have to overcome. And let's try to be calm and try to go through this in a sound way to find solutions. And for me, one thing for me, and I advise all men to attempt this, is that for me, in a discussion or argument, I'm not trying to be right. I'm really not. I'm trying to get to a solution. So I seek perspective. If a mate can give me her perspective without high emotion or yelling or exciting an argument, but just her perspective on whatever topic, subject, or situation we're in, that brings me at peace to be able to understand where she's coming from. And as long as I know where you're coming from, we're at a good point to be able to get to a solution. On the question of the breadwinner, no, I disagree with that. I believe that what is the most important is the solution to anything. So if I'm the breadwinner, I'm going to seek all the information, insight, and perspective of my spouse or my mate to see what I'm not thinking about. I don't want to be right all the time or right at all. I want us to be right. So I'm seeking the insight of what she sees that I do not see. And then for me to bring what she might not see and to find the common solution within that, to be able to do any type of thing. In the end, if that means if it's left to me to be like, okay, we have all this gathered information, what should we do? Then I put out my final road, because I would like to lead that road or that solution and not have her have to take the lead on that direction of whatever decision we're going to make. But if we come across a solution together that we're both like, hey, this is a great idea, a great plan to go forward, then we do it together.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We're going to go Brian and then Victoria. All right, Pocket Square, it's your turn. All right, he might be on a call or something. So Victoria, you get to skip that line.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about is there a power struggle thing. When I think about power struggle, I think of like tug of war. I think maybe Mike mentioned something about like the three-strand cord. But I think of like tug of war. Two people are going in opposite directions. They both have different goals, different desires that are opposing to each other. And so if one person doesn't back down and say, okay, I'm going to go with you, then they're just going to keep going in opposite directions. And they're just going to keep being a struggle for power, for leadership, for whose voice, is louder. And I think that goes back to the design, that's just our foundation, the design of marriage. If the man, if the husband backs down and says, okay, I'm going to go with wherever the wife thinks we should go, she wasn't given the role to head the family. And so it's probably not going to be in the right direction.
Oh my God.
It's probably not going to be in the right direction. Not calling women dumb or anything like that. I hope nobody in the comments misquotes me. But if the woman is the one who submits, I said the S word, who submits to her husband's leadership, submits to to her husband's leadership, then they can both go in that one direction together in union and in the power struggle. If that makes sense.
I want to add on to this, and this is, I'm going to tell it myself. I'm going to tell all of it. I'm going to tell a big chunk, a big messy chunk of it, okay? So you were saying if the wife makes that decision, it could be the wrong. And I want to challenge that slightly, throwing myself under the bus in the process, okay? I believe that those in the ranking, so there's the father, the wife, is it father? There's the husband, the wife, and the child. I believe that any of those three can have wisdom. I believe that the Holy Spirit can speak through any of those. Heck, in the Bible, he spoke through a donkey. So, this is what I learned the hard way. I would believe that I had a lot of wisdom, and there have been times I've been proven it was the wisdom of God. However, I was out of order. So I noticed this, and I'm 2022. I'm not referencing 16 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm talking about this month. My dear father, bless his heart, he has been getting me together because I want to be gotten together. And so that was one of the things. He was like, little grasshopper, order is something that you need to learn. And so I realized that I felt like, well, we're both adults, so why can't I, and I didn't realize it in the next, because I kind of be a little dingy sometimes. Like I kind of don't read the room sometimes, believe it or not. A lot of times I'm just like on, marshmallows and unicorns, and I don't pick up on certain code, and apparently there's code. So when you're stepping to your senior, when you're stepping to an authority figure, anything, there's a certain phraseology. And some people might say, oh, you're splitting hairs. Those hairs are very important if you want to have any sort of diplomacy. So one of the suggestions he gave is that when you disagree, you could say, okay, I love doing this. I call it my inner Karen. My voice always goes up a few octaves. How interesting. How did you come to that conclusion? That's totally different than somebody going, oh, I know that's wrong. Okay. So you took the two, combined it with the two, and you came to 5. Can you show me how you do that math? And then what they do is they put the 2. Oh, actually it's supposed to be 4. Oh, now this is where pride comes in. I told you I do. It takes so much humility to go. Because if the purpose was to have the right answer on the paper, we've achieved the right answer on the paper. If the purpose was to flex, then you go, I knew it was a 4, I had it on my paper finished. That's where I was mistaken. I had a zeal, but not according to knowledge. And then I recognized with my daughter, I am extremely unconventional, especially in a black household. Black household, you don't speak back. My children, I actually want to know what they have to say. I actually care if I piss them off. Because there's a difference between being bummed about having to do the dishes and being pissed off. The Bible says, provoke not your children to wrath. So if I see my children are agitated, I actually want to know if they're agitated. However, you're not going to come to me with a little pop in your neck and a little sass in your voice. What you can say is, Mother, may I speak to you? Yes, my love. Would it be possible, I know you asked me to do the dishes, but would it be possible that I fold my laundry first and then do the dishes? And I could say, yeah, no problem. Or, Mom, did you realize that my school starts at this time and you gave me a different assignment to do this? Oh, okay. So the correction isn't the issue. Usually it's all the sass that comes with it. So I believe that with women and children, we actually have a huge responsibility to really stock up on humility. Because if you, and this is why, ladies, you got to pick the right dude. Because if you're the dude you don't respect, that's really hard to dumb yourself down all the time. Like, oh, really? That's how you do it? Okay. You have to do it all the time. Oh my God, I would have never known how to get there without you. Okay. But if you actually have a guy who you respect, you're really like, whoa, I really didn't know that. Oh, look, for me, I like a man who teaches me. That's why I picked the one I did, because I was like, oh, sapiosexual. Teach me something. Just do it in love, but teach me something. And that does it for me. If there's a man I can run circles around intellectually, next, swiping left. So I say all that to say, ladies, I don't want you to think that being submissive means being a doormat. It means figuring out a way to stay in your lane, but you can get the point across. And when you have divine inspiration, which is what I'll be teaching in my course, honey, you will learn when, where, and how to talk to your man. And he won't even know it is correction, because it's not going to come in the form of correction. It's going to be suggestion. Have you considered? Maybe, perhaps. And there are ways that you can just present something, and then he might accidentally come to the same understanding that you had going into it. I'm just saying, but what do I know? I've only been doing this for 20 years. Anywho, sorry for being so long-winded. I really wanted to emphasize that, because I think the enemy tries to make the word of God seem so dramatic and, swing that pendulum. Ladies, a lot of times you have great things to add. Yeah.
Let me say this too, because you said out of order, right? And I'm trying to stay in Genesis, because it's a good place for relationships to be, right? Because you can see it. But if you're talking about out of order, right? So you look at that whole downfall of men, right? That all was out of order, right? So with that decision, Eve puts herself out of order and makes herself the head. Adam puts himself out of order, makes himself submissive to that. Satan is even out of order and makes himself God.
Right.
And everything is all out of order and everything is all broken because of it. When all that stuff transpires and all that stuff, God puts that stuff right back in order. If you continue reading, we don't continue reading after that, but puts that stuff right back in order, puts her where she's supposed to be, punishes Satan in the way that he's supposed to be, and puts Adam back where he's supposed to be, put that order back into place the way that it is supposed to be done. And also, to your point, the New Testament talks about that his husbands can be saved by the conversations of their wives, by the behaviors of their wives, and the way that they behave. And I think that's something that we do not promote, we do not teach in our day, right? Because that's not as valuable in 2022, right? For a woman to be soft, to be gentle, to be feminine, to be quiet, none of that stuff, right? You need
where our
to
power
have
is.
WAP.
Ironically, that's where our power is.
Right. You see? So we've broken that mold. So a woman being in the kitchen is considered a bad thing, right? But a woman doing whatever else is considered strength, right? A woman being a woman is a bad thing. You need to be more like a man in order to be valuable in our day. So it takes it all out of order, all out of place, all out of purpose in a lot of ways. So I just want to add that in there too.
I appreciate that, and I feel like, and by the way, we're going to kind of come to a close, because I know my East Coasters and my Bahamas people are really, really late. But I want to say this, just like you said, the enemy, because I like to give finger wagging where the finger wagging is due. And as you said, the enemy has caused a lot of disruption of the order, and has convinced women that the male position is actually to be prized. It should be, it's to be idolized. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the curse. It said a woman will want to usurp authority over a man. But I like to look at this. You look at the man like a house. The woman, we get to be inside, where it's all cozy, snuggly socks, fireplace, blanket. The man, he's getting beat down with whatever weather. If it's hot, he's taking that scorching heat. He's at that outside protection. If it's a storm, he's getting beat down with that rain. Whatever happens, it's happening to the outside. And then, the mom is in there, and then the kids are covered even more. You think about physically. If you're in physical harm's way, the man is putting himself first. And if something happens to the man, instinctively the woman is going to protect that child. So you kind of have that nesting thing, like those Mexican toys, where the kid's in there and then the mom's over them and then the dad's over. So we are idolizing a position that actually has a lot more stress. I said in my last video that back in the day, before the feminist movement, the women were not equal to the men. The women were not equal to the men. When it came to adoration, respect, patronage, dignity, honor, suffering, the women were not equal to the men. The men would see a woman walk in the room, take off the hat. She'd walk in the room, profanity would stop. Walk in the room, crass conversation would stop. She comes in the room, he's giving her a chair. How backwards is it that we went from being on a pedestal, but now we're equals. And this is where men are getting so frustrated in 2022. They're saying all these feminists, and I always identify, don't say women, honey, because I am not lumped in that group. Feminists have said, we are the same. Well, honey, then you better be the same on the subway when you're tired and he wants to sit down and you're standing. When you're 3 months, or days away from labor and you're struggling to carry stuff and all these big old grown men are not offering to lift a finger with your bags, do you want to be the same as men? Someone's getting into a fight and a dude wants to clock her in the face. Well, same as men. I am totally fine not being the same as men. Because, honey, if you want to carry my bags, you want to kill gross things, and you want to go find out what went thump in the night, honey, have at it. I'll be over here protecting the child. Okay? I will dial 911. I got quick fingers. I'll dial it. But you go ahead and handle that with the gun. I'll be back here in the safe room. I'm just saying. You want to break your back out in the sun and work for the family, and I'm going to be making some soup on the stove, honey, you go right ahead. Mama's going to rub your back when you come back in, okay? So it is a perversion and a twisting that has made it seem like this is ideal. My dumb butt went up and left my husband, and now my butt has to pay for stuff, and I'm like, dang, this is what it feels like to lay down at night being like, how much is in the account? How much? What are the bills coming out? I never had to worry about that when I was the wife. I was like, what am I going to shop tomorrow? It's not cute. So I want to be the first to say it is not cute to be a man and have the man's responsibilities. And what this society does is it teaches women to covet the power of the man, but shy away from the accountability and the responsibility. They want to be like a child when the axe comes down, when it comes to the accountability. But when it comes to the honor, the being out in front, the placard on the wall, oh, they'll sign up for that. But when it comes down to the chopping block, don't look at me. I'm back here. I'm with the kids. I was getting Kool-Aid with the kids. We were just getting some snacks. So don't look at me. We have to pick a struggle. So for a lot of us, the feminine, not the feminists, the feminine women who are about feminism, we will let you call the shots. We will let you have the final say. We will allow, it's choice. I will allow you to tell me what to do. I will allow you to tell me where I should not go and where I should go. I consider it an honor to only have to do these things because you have taken on this and went so far as to say you will put your life on the line for me. I'm sorry, but women are wired a little bit different. We be like, man, I got you, homie, but that whole life, that bullet. You guys are just built different. That's why y'all do go so well at war and all that. You just get it done. We as women, we're like, can we talk about this whole shooting each other bit? Because if there's a way we can work this out. So anyway, the last piece that I want to say is this. Understand that leadership position should only be given to a man who is worthy of it. Can I say that again? Ladies, stop spreading your legs just because he has the genitalia of a man. Being older, being taller, being muscular, even being well endowed does not make him a man. Acting like a man, being a leader is what makes him a man. And so we need to pump the brakes until we've had a chance to even see if he's qualified. And I hate to burst your bubble, but you don't know if a man's qualified in 2 weeks. in 3 phone calls, in 1 really romantic date. You don't know if he's qualified. I go so far as to say at least a year before you're really in a position to say what kind of dude he is. Because until you've seen him under pressure, until you've seen how he deals with stress, until you see how he deals with success, you have not seen that man. When you see him only in the good times, honey, you're seeing him at his best. But when you commit to him and you say, until death do us part, I'm going to voluntarily go under you, honey, you better know what you climbing underneath. If I'm going to climb under a car like a mechanic, please believe I need to make sure that thing is secure. I don't need the thing to come crashing down on me. Because I want to be in order, but I only want to submit to a man who is going to lead me in love. And if he is following Jesus Christ and he is filled with the Holy Spirit, he cannot do anything other than love me in his leadership. Mike, you can go ahead. Thank you. Oh my God. I'm passionate about this, y'all. Sorry, I get a little fired up. But go ahead, Mike. I see your I thought your hand went up. Did it go up?
No, I was giving you applause. That was
that was the applause. Thank you.
Brian's hand is up. I mean, I've done workshops on similar things to what you say, so I love what you're saying. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. By the way, you should DM me on Instagram because I do want to talk to you. And I'm going to. Did anyone have any closing thoughts before I give my last piece of information before we go? Anyone have anything they want to get off their chest? I think Brian's on a call, so that his hand's just going to stay up there.
Yeah, this was an amazing conversation. I love all of the input. I walk away, of course, always in these conversations with you, Yancy, better than when I stepped into them. Brother Henry, thank you again for that video. Lessons. And you know, I want to say something because your video at the beginning, I just want to ask Lamont, like, you know, with his Zoom picture, were you in that video, bro? Like, I mean, everybody could see his picture. Like, it's almost the same thing. Like, is that you, bro? So I just wanted to say thank you all. It's dope. Always good to talk with like-minded or even people that think differently from you. And we have to be able to be in conversations like this and not be all, you know, hyped and ready to go at it. But when we step out of our egos and we get to listen, we end up getting to learn as well. So thank you all for that.
Perfect. And were you asking Henry if he was the one in the video, the King video?
No, Lamont. You see his? Do you see his
screensaver?
His Zoom picture.
He did a video, a 2-part video of the trip in which this photo was taken. So yeah, he's in that video. Yeah.
Oh, that's the video he's talking about?
Yeah, the one where you asked your girl to be your girl. But I'm assuming that's the same picture that you have on your pictures, the one from that trip?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, okay. Did anyone else have any closing thoughts before I give my final announcement? All right. You guys were such an awesome panel. Sometimes people are just anxious to share. I feel like I'm always blessed to where people get on and they are paying attention to the unspoken cadence of the conversation. So I absolutely love that. There were a couple of points that I wanted to make and I'm like practicing sharing my platform and then people made it and then people made that point and then people, so I'm like, it's okay to share. So I love that everyone kind of, you know, fell into that because a lot of us are content creators, so we could probably do the whole show by ourselves, but that just shows humility. It shows just the ability to read the room. And again, I want to emphasize how awesome it is to see all these people, grown adults, who had extremely different opinions at certain points, all continue to be respectful and all come in with a mind wanting to learn. So I think that was really incredible. So I want to say this. I said at the very beginning for people who didn't see it, I have been working very, 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 very hard on a course that is going to be launching on my birthday, April 28th. Before that, I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek so you can see what kind of stuff I'm dealing with. Because like I said, I hold back a lot on Instagram. Can't give y'all all the stuff. But I'm going to be doing a free webinar. So if you're on my email list, you will receive that invitation in a couple of days. But I want to say this. A lot of people, I say that a lot. I want to say this. A lot of people talk about how crappy their choices are, how crappy the men are out there, how terrible the women are out there. And a lot of times they say all, which I hate. It makes me cringe. It's not all. Obviously, there are a lot of great people out there. But there are a lot of people who don't know how to navigate between unhealed and healed people. We're not perfect, but we're not all toxic. I guarantee you if I have a really long conversation with Mike, neither one of us are going to be screaming at any point. There's a certain level of healing psychologically that people can get to where they are able to communicate, get over obstacles. So it's not about being perfect. It's about being able to communicate in a way that's effective and leaves both people feeling okay. So I want to teach people how to identify a person who is healed so that you don't waste your time in a relationship with a toxic person, because that will result in a toxic relationship, which leaves you traumatized. You could be with a narcissist. You could be with a self-centered person. There's a lot of pitfalls. So instead of, if you're one of the people who believes that everybody sucks, the entire pool of dating pool is contaminated, I really invite you to come to this webinar so that you could see the difference between. Because there are a lot of people, like I said, who say all, every, only, and that just shows to me there's an opportunity to learn there. Okay, so get on my email list. As I mentioned, there's a link in the description below. If you prefer Instagram, you can click the link in my bio there. But get on my email list so that you can get invited. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you so much. Everybody who has their Instagram, here's your chance to go follow them. You can come back and watch it after, but grab everybody's Instagram handles if you want to follow them. And until next time, you guys, please tell someone that you love them. And I hope it's extremely apparent just how much I love you.
We love you too, Yancy.
Thank you.